The rain had peeled one corner of the grocery sign away from the brick, and Naya was standing on an upside-down milk crate trying to keep the whole thing from becoming a sale. "Come on," she muttered, reaching higher. "You stayed up there 10 years. Pick a better day to quit." The vinyl snapped against her wrist. She caught it, pulled, and exposed a strip of older paint underneath. White letters, faded blue shadow. At first she could only see the bottom of an R. Then the wind helped her again, ripping 3 rusted fasteners loose with a sound like buttons scattering across a floor. Ruth Naya's Corner Grocery. Nia stepped off the crate too quickly and landed in a puddle. Cold water filled one shoe. She barely noticed. Her name was still there. She had been 19 when her grandmother painted it beside her own, and 21 when she left Cleveland believing Ruth had covered it, because she no longer wanted Naya attached to the store. For 7 years, the newer sign had said Carter's Corner Grocery in stiff green block letters. Now, Ruth was dead. Nia had been put out of Ruth's house, and rain was showing her something her grandmother had hidden in plain sight. She stood beneath the awning, with water dripping from her hair, and one question beating so hard inside her, it felt almost like anger. Why had Ruth left her name up there? 3 days earlier, the house had smelled like fried chicken, furniture polish, and too many people pretending not to look at the hospital bed. The bed sat in the dining room because Ruth had refused to move into a nursing facility and could no longer manage the stairs. During the last 6 months, everyone had learned to carry plates around it. After the funeral home took her body, the medical company removed the bed, but left pale grooves in the rug and a square of unfaded wallpaper where the oxygen machine had stood. Nia kept looking at that square while relatives filled the room with foil pans. Her Aunt Camille was explaining to someone that Ruth had looked peaceful. Her mother, Denise, moved among the guests in a navy dress and low heels, accepting condolences with both hands. Marcus stood by the kitchen door, holding a paper plate he had not touched. "You eat yet?" Nia asked him. "I'm working on it." "You've got one wing and no sides." I said I'm working on it. That made her smile, barely. Marcus had always approached food as if it were an assignment someone had explained badly. He was 35, broad-shouldered, careful with his beard, and wearing the same charcoal suit he had worn at his wedding. His wife, Alana, had already taken off her heels and tucked them beneath the hall table. She was helping stack cups in the kitchen, though Denise kept telling her to sit down. Nia carried an empty casserole dish to the sink. "Leave that," Denise said. "I'm just rinsing it. Today is not the day to be worrying about dishes." Nia looked at the sink, where every spoon Ruth owned had apparently gathered for a meeting. "If I wait till tomorrow, it'll still be today's macaroni." Denise gave her a tired look. "You always have to have an answer." It was an old complaint, worn smooth from use. Nia rinsed the dish anyway. For 18 months, there had always been something to rinse, measure, crush, reorder, wipe, or listen for. Ruth's pills sat in a plastic organizer on the counter until that morning, when Nia had shoved it into the cabinet before the repast. Monday and Tuesday were empty. Wednesday still held 2 tablets. She could not bear the sight of them, and could not bear that she had hidden them. A cousin came into the kitchen, carrying another foil pan. "Where should I put the greens?" "Anywhere there's room," Nia said. Denise said, "On the stove." The cousin paused between them, then chose the stove. By 5, people began leaving with careful hugs and unsolicited instructions about rest. By 6, only immediate family remained. Camille took the last of the pound cake and promised to call. Denise locked the front door behind her, then stood with her back against it for a moment. The house exhaled. Alana was gathering abandoned napkins. Marcus had finally eaten half a roll. Nia went to the dining room and bent to pick up a sympathy card that had fallen beside the wall. When she straightened, her mother had a roll of masking tape in one hand and a black marker in the other. "Where'd those come from?" Nia asked. "Kitchen drawer. I know where they came from. I meant, why are you holding them?" Denise looked at Marcus. It was quick, that look. Quick enough that Nia might have missed it if she had not spent a year watching Ruth's face for pain she would not admit to. Marcus put down the roll. Denise cleared her throat. "We need to start separating things while everybody's here." "Separating what?" "Your grandmother's belongings. She was buried 4 hours ago. And nobody said we have to finish tonight. You brought tape." "Nia? You brought labels to the repast?" Alana stopped moving. A crumpled napkin remained in her hand. Denise's mouth tightened. "I brought them yesterday. That was somehow worse." Marcus stepped away from the counter. "Ma, Maybe we should do this next weekend. You're taking 2 days off work now. Alana rearranged her schedule. Nia's here. We can at least decide what stays with the house. Nia looked at him. What stays with the house? Marcus rubbed the back of his neck. There it was again, that almost invisible exchange between him and Denise. This time, Alana saw it too. Her gaze dropped to the napkin. Nia set the sympathy card on Ruth's sewing cabinet. What aren't y'all saying? Denise placed the tape and marker on the hall table, very neatly. The deed on the house transferred to me when Mama passed. That was arranged years ago when she refinanced. I know about the deed. Then you know the house isn't part of probate. I know what the words mean. Good. So, let's not make this uglier than it has to be. Nia laughed once. She did not mean to. It came out dry and startled. Marcus said her name softly. No, let her finish. Nia folded her arms. Because apparently there's a pretty version. Denise's face changed. The competent funeral face slipped, and beneath it was a woman who had slept badly and cried in private because public grief made her self-conscious. I'm giving the house to Marcus, she said. The refrigerator hummed. Somewhere upstairs, a faucet dripped with the patient rhythm Nia had been meaning to fix. She looked at Marcus, waiting for him to deny it. He didn't. Alana said, Denise, I thought you'd already told her. I was going to. When? Nia asked. Before or after you labeled my room? It is not your room. The sentence landed cleanly. Denise seemed to hear it only after it was out. She reached toward Nia, then lowered her hand. I mean legally, she said. You know what I mean? Nia did know. That was the trouble. For the last 18 months, she had slept on a fold-out chair in the small upstairs room because Ruth needed the downstairs bedroom and hated being alone at night. Nia kept her clothes in plastic drawers because her old dresser had been moved downstairs to hold medical supplies. She worked the hotel from 3 until 11, came home, checked Ruth's breathing, set out morning pills, and slept lightly enough to hear the bell Ruth rang from the dining room. Every sound in the house had belonged to her until suddenly none of the rooms did. Marcus picked up his roll again and crushed the edge between his fingers. This isn't how I wanted you to find out. How did you want me to find out? I don't know. Better. That's specific. Nia, Alana said quietly. Nia turned to her. Alana looked miserable, which irritated Nia more than satisfaction would have. Satisfaction she could fight. Misery asked to be comforted. Denise moved toward the living room. Marcus and Alana have been renting for 6 years. They have stable jobs. They can maintain a property. I maintained it. You lived here? I paid the electric when Grandma's check was short. I paid for the water heater. I bought the downstairs air conditioner. And you weren't paying rent. Nia stared at her mother. Denise pressed her lips together, but she did not take it back. Marcus said, Ma, that's not fair. Oh, now it's not fair? Nia asked. I'm trying to say I know you helped. You know I helped? That's not what I meant. Then say what you mean before somebody brings out another roll of tape. His face hardened. For a second, he looked like the older brother who used to stand between her and anything sharp, loud, or unkind. Then his eyes moved toward the ceiling, as though he could already see where the roof leaked. I'm not turning the house down, he said. There was no cruelty in it. That made it worse, too. Nia walked upstairs before her body decided to do something embarrassing. Her room was exactly as she had left it that morning. Black dress on the chair, hotel uniform hanging from the closet door. Phone charger plugged in beside Ruth's old reading lamp. On the bed sat the cardigan Ruth had complained was itchy, though Nia had seen her wear it whenever the heat bill frightened her. She picked it up and held it to her face. It smelled like lavender powder and the menthol cream Ruth rubbed into her hands. Nia sat on the edge of the bed, cardigan gathered in her lap, and listened to the muffled argument below. Alana wanted to leave. Denise said leaving would make things awkward. Marcus said things were already awkward. Somebody opened the refrigerator, somebody closed it without taking anything. Nia waited for grief to feel separate from humiliation. It did not. A knock came against the open door. Marcus stood there holding an envelope. If that's another document, I'm going to bite you. It's money. That did not improve your chances? He almost smiled. 800 for a deposit somewhere. She looked at the envelope, then at him. You had it ready? Ma suggested it. Of course she did. It's from me. Of course she suggested that too. Marcus stepped into the room. You can be mad. Thank you. But you need somewhere to go. I have somewhere. Where? Nia glanced around as if an answer might be hiding among her plastic drawers. Marcus held out the envelope. "Take it." She stood and put Ruth's cardigan into her suitcase. "No, don't make this about pride. What should I make it about?" "Getting through the week. My whole family waited until after the funeral to tell me I'm homeless. And you think the problem is I'm being proud?" His jaw shifted. He set the envelope on the bed. Nia picked it up and pushed it into his jacket pocket. For the first time, he looked ashamed. By 10 that night, she had packed 2 suitcases and 3 trash bags. Denise said there was no need to rush, but she said it while standing beside a box labeled NIA, Keep, in thick black letters. Nia took Ruth's cast iron skillet from the kitchen. Denise opened her mouth. "Try it," Nia said. Denise closed it. Alana carried 1 suitcase to Nia's car. Marcus followed with the bags. At the curb, he looked back at the bungalow, as though it had already become heavier. "You can stay tonight," he said. Nia put the last bag in the trunk. "Apparently, I already stayed too long." She spent 2 nights on a hotel co-worker's sofa, beneath a framed sign that said, "Gather," and opposite a fish tank, whose filter clicked every 11 seconds. On the 3rd morning, Denise called about Carter's Corner Grocery. "The lawyer says Mama left the store to you," she said. "The business and building both." Nia sat up on the sofa, blanket tangled around her ankles. Her mother continued, "Before you get excited, it's been closed for months. There are bills. The ceiling's damaged. Marcus thinks you should sell quickly." Nia looked at the blue fish drifting behind plastic seaweed. "Does Marcus own everything now?" "Don't start." "I haven't had coffee. This is just my natural personality." Denise sighed. "Use your head, Nia. Sell it, get yourself an apartment, and move on." That afternoon, Nia drove to the corner intending to do exactly that. Then the rain tore the sign open. Her name appeared beside Ruth's, faded but stubborn, above a locked store everyone else had already decided was worthless. Nia stood beneath it until her wet clothes clung to her skin. Then she unlocked the front door and went inside. The first thing that met her was the smell. Not rot exactly. Dust, old cardboard, freezer metal, and the faint sourness of produce that had been removed too late. Underneath it all lingered the store's permanent scent. Coffee grounds, onions, floor cleaner, and the cinnamon gum Ruth kept beside the register. Nia reached for the light switch. Nothing happened. "Strong opening," she said. She turned on her phone flashlight and swept it across the front aisle. The shelves looked taller than she remembered, probably because so many were empty. A few cans of beans stood in neat rows, labels facing out. Paper towels had slumped sideways on the top shelf. A handwritten sign near the register still read, "No checks unless Ruth knows your mama." Nia touched the edge of it. Ruth had refused to take it down, even after Nia pointed out that knowing someone's mother was not a reliable credit policy. "I know your mama," Ruth had said. "That's why I don't take your checks." At the back, the refrigerated cases were dark. Their glass doors reflected Nia's phone light and showed her a narrow face, rain-flattened hair, and Ruth's keys clutched in one hand. She looked like somebody breaking into her own life. The breaker box was in the stockroom. Nia picked her way past collapsed cartons and a hand truck with one flat tire. She flipped the main switch off, waited, then pushed it back on. The overhead lights blinked awake one row at a time. One of the coolers groaned. Another made 3 hopeful clicks and fell silent. "Don't strain yourself." The office door stood behind a faded bead curtain Ruth had installed in the 90s and never replaced. Several brown beads were missing, leaving gaps like bad teeth. Nia pushed through and found the desk buried beneath envelopes, catalogs, receipts, and 2 coffee mugs with hard black crescents in the bottom. Ruth's reading glasses rested on an open invoice. Nia stopped. At the house, death had been everywhere. Flowers, casseroles, lowered voices, the square on the wallpaper. Here, Ruth looked as if she had stepped into the stockroom and might return annoyed that Nia was touching her paperwork. The office chair squeaked when Nia sat. She picked up the glasses by one arm, folded them, then unfolded them again. The invoice beneath them was from Brandt Produce. Past due, $1,842.16. A red envelope from the electric company warned that service would be disconnected the following week. The property tax bill had not been opened. Neither had 3 letters from the insurance company. Nia placed the glasses beside the desk lamp. Okay, she whispered. You left me a situation. The desk drawers were stuffed without being disorganized. Ruth believed filing cabinets were where papers went to be forgotten. She arranged important things in piles according to a system that existed entirely in her hands. Nia used to understand that system. Blue rubber band meant suppliers, green meant taxes. No band meant Ruth had read something and intended to think about it until the other person gave up. Nia found a blue-bound ledger under a grocery circular. The first pages held daily totals from the previous winter, written in Ruth's compact, slanted hand. Walk-in sales were bad, worse than Nia expected. Some days barely covered electricity and payroll. Near the back, columns appeared under names instead of dates. Lakeside Rooms, Green Court Apartments, Mount Zion Kitchen, Alvarez Carryout. She leaned closer. Rice, flour, canned tomatoes, coffee, shortening, bleach, onions. Quantities too large for ordinary household shopping. Beside each order, Ruth had written a delivery day and payment amount. Some balances rolled from one week to the next. Others were marked paid in blue ink. Nia turned another page. The order list continued for months. Why didn't you tell anybody? The office phone rang. Nia jumped so hard her knee struck the desk. It rang again, an old landline trill that sounded impossible in the closed store. She lifted the receiver. Carter's Corner, Grocery. Silence. Nia glanced at the phone, then put it back to her ear. Hello, a man said. Who is this? You called me. I called Ruth. The air seemed to leave the office. Nia looked at the reading glasses. This is Nia, she said, Ruth's granddaughter. There was a pause, followed by a slow breath. Oh, you're back? Apparently. This is Joseph Alvarez, from the carryout on Fulton. I remember you. Mr. Alvarez had been round and loud when Nia worked at the store. He used to buy 20-pound sacks of rice and complain that Ruth charged him for gossip, whether he wanted it or not. His voice had grown rougher. I heard about Miss Ruth, he said. I went by the house, but there were too many cars. I don't do crowds when people are crying. That's fair. She was a good woman. She was. She was also a pain. Nia looked down at the ledger. She was. I still owe her. The words made her sit straighter. How much? See, now you sound like her. I'm looking at a past due produce invoice, Mr. Alvarez. Today is a good day to sound like her. He laughed, then coughed. 480, he said. She told me to wait until business picked up. Nia found his latest page. The balance was $480, circled but not crossed out. You called to pay it? I called because my Thursday order didn't come. Then I remembered there isn't going to be a Thursday order. Nia ran her finger down the list. 50 pounds of rice, 3 cases of tomatoes, cooking oil, bleach. When was the last delivery? About 2 months ago. Tasha brought it after Miss Ruth couldn't lift. Tasha Green. You remember Tasha? I remember her eating honey buns behind the register and blaming inventory errors on mice. That sounds like Tasha. Nia smiled before she could stop herself. Mr. Alvarez cleared his throat. What happens to the store? I don't know yet. You selling? She looked through the office doorway at the dead coolers and pale gaps on the shelves. That's what everybody thinks I should do. Everybody who? My family? Your family shop there? No. Then everybody is a strange name for them. The rain tapped steadily against the front windows. Nia closed the ledger. I'll let you know. You do that. And come get your money before I develop a character flaw. After he hung up, Nia stayed in the office chair with the receiver in her hand. $480 would not save anything. It would not cover Brandt Produce, the power bill, or whatever made the ceiling buckle near aisle 3. But it was money the family did not know existed, because the family had not known what Ruth actually did here. Nia had not known either. That realization pinched. She spent the next 2 hours making piles on the front counter. Urgent bills, possible bills. Bills that appeared to have reproduced in the dark. She found a yellow legal pad and began an inventory. 37 cans of black beans, 12 cans of peaches, 6 bags of rice, 2 torn. Enough cinnamon gum to survive a national emergency. The front bell jingled while she was kneeling behind the register. Nia stood quickly, banging her shoulder against the cigarette cabinet Ruth had repurposed for batteries and pain relievers. A woman in a red raincoat peered through the doorway. You open? Not unless you're here for 6 bags of rice and several hundred pieces of cinnamon gum. The woman looked past her. I saw the lights. I'm checking the building. Oh! Disappointment crossed her face. Thought maybe somebody finally opened back up. Did you shop here? Every week. Your grandma used to order decaf coffee for me because the regular makes my heart show off. Nia recognized her then. Mrs. Pettigrew from the senior apartment building, older now, but still wearing lipstick darker than her coat. I'm sorry about Ruth, Mrs. Pettigrew said. Thank you. She talk about you. Nia's hand tightened around the yellow pad. What did she say? That you were stubborn. That sounds right. Said you got that from your mother, which I thought was funny because your mother got it from her. Despite herself, Nia laughed. Mrs. Pettigrew looked up at the torn sign. I always liked the old name better. Nia followed her gaze. You could see it? Not till today, but I remember when she painted it. Mrs. Pettigrew smiled. Ruth couldn't make a straight line to save her life. Had that electrician boy do the outlining? Eli? That's him. Tall, serious face. Acted like smiling cost money. He got over that. No, he didn't. A gust pushed rain beneath the awning. Mrs. Pettigrew stepped back. If you open, get the blue label decaf, she said. The other one tastes like somebody described coffee to hot water. I'll remember. Nia watched her cross the street, one hand holding her hood against the wind. She was writing blue label decaf beneath the gum when Denise and Marcus pulled up. They entered without knocking. Denise wore a belted tan coat and carried a large purse under one arm. Marcus had changed out of his suit into work boots and a gray quarter zip. His gaze traveled over the store. Wow, he said. Good. Wow? Nia asked. No? Denise smelled faintly of Ruth's perfume. The recognition came so quickly that Nia felt mean before her mother even spoke. You should have waited for us, Denise said. I had the keys. We were going to go through everything together. Were you bringing tape? Marcus looked at the floor. Denise ignored that. The real estate agent I spoke to wants pictures. You already called an agent? For an opinion. The funeral flowers haven't wilted, and the bills aren't waiting out of respect. Denise pointed toward the stained ceiling. Look at this place. I've been looking. Marcus walked toward the coolers and pressed his palm against one glass door. These running? One is trying to? What about the others? One clicks. One has entered the light. He crouched to inspect the vents. Could be compressors. It could be ghosts. I haven't gotten that far. Denise moved behind the counter. She saw Nia's piles and lifted the Brandt produce invoice. Almost $2,000? Put that down. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I said, put it down. Denise stared at her, then returned it to the counter. I don't understand why you're defensive. I'm trying to help you avoid a mistake. By selling something before I know what it is a closed grocery store with debt. It also supplied 4 businesses and 2 apartment buildings. Marcus looked up. What do you mean, supplied? Nia held up the ledger. Grandma had standing bulk orders. Alvarez Carryout still owes $480, and he called asking when his next order was coming. Denise frowned. $400 does not make this a business. No. Customers make it a business. Customers who owe money. Some do. Most paid every week. Marcus came to the counter and studied the ledger without reaching for it. You're thinking about reopening? I'm thinking about thinking. You have hotel work. I know where I work, Marcus. And nowhere permanent to stay, Denise said. The words slipped into the room and made everything smaller. Marcus turned toward her. Ma? What? She needs cash. This building might give her a clean start. That is not an insult. You want me to sell? Nia said. Take whatever's left after the debts and use it for an apartment. Yes. And how much of whatever's left were you planning to ask for? Denise's expression changed by a fraction. Nia saw it. Marcus saw Nia see it. The bungalow roof needs replacing, Denise said carefully. Your grandmother's assets should not be treated as if they have nothing to do with one another. The house is yours. You made that very clear. The house is part of her legacy. So is this, until it gets inconvenient. Marcus rubbed both hands over his face. Can we not do this in the dark with spoiled milk around us? There isn't any milk, Nia said. That's one of our stronger departments. He gave her a helpless look that was almost a laugh. Denise did not smile. How long do you need? For what? To decide, Nia looked at the old sign through the front window. Rainwater streaked the glass, breaking her painted name into pieces. She thought of the past due bills, Mr. Alvarez trying to order rice, Mrs. Pettigrew's impossible decaf, and Ruth's glasses resting on an invoice she had never finished handling. 30 days, Nia said. Denise shook her head immediately. That's a month of carrying costs. I know how long 30 days is. And after that? If I can't make the numbers work, I'll call your agent myself. Marcus studied her. Where are you staying for 30 days? Nia looked toward the office. It was small, windowless, and currently occupied by 11 years of catalogs and a broken oscillating fan. That, she said, is still under review. Marcus stared at the office doorway. No, I didn't ask you. You can't sleep back there. Watch me become inspirational. Denise adjusted the strap of her purse. This is not a solution. Neither was $800 in an envelope, but that got presented with confidence. Marcus turned away from the coolers. There's no shower. Is there even heat? The store has heat. The store has a ceiling that looks like wet bread. That's aisle 3. I don't plan to sleep under cereal. He glanced toward the stained tiles and lowered his voice. Come stay at the house. Denise looked at him sharply. Nia caught it. So did he. At Grandma's house? She asked. At my house, I guess. The words sounded uncomfortable in his mouth. Until you figure something out. That's generous. I mean it. So do I. Alana had not come with them. Nia wondered if the invitation had been discussed, or if Marcus was offering his wife a new house guest while standing in a dead grocery store. Either way, she had no desire to sleep upstairs, while he and Alana planned what to do with Ruth's dining room. Denise buttoned her coat. You have 30 days then. But don't spend money you don't have just to prove something. Which something? That we underestimated you. Nia held her mother's gaze. For one strange second, Denise looked less angry than frightened. Then she turned, pushed through the door, and walked into the rain. Marcus lingered. You didn't have to ask about the roof, he said. I did, though. That wasn't my idea. But you knew. He slipped his hands into his pockets. Ma said the store was going to be sold anyway. She thought some of it could keep the house from falling apart. Her house. He flinched. You know I didn't do the deed. No. You just showed up at the finish line. You think I don't feel bad? I think feeling bad is currently costing you nothing. The bell jingled as Denise opened the door from outside. Marcus. He looked at Nia another moment, then followed their mother out. His truck remained at the curb for several minutes. Through the window, Nia could see Denise talking with both hands while Marcus stared through the windshield. Eventually, the brake lights brightened and the truck pulled away. The store became quiet again. Nia locked the door and leaned against it. 30 days sounded bold when spoken aloud. In private, it sounded like a number a desperate person picked, because 20 was embarrassing and 60 was impossible. Her phone buzzed. A text from Sheila, whose sofa Nia had occupied for 2 nights, asked whether she was coming back and whether she preferred beef or pepperoni pizza. Nia typed, "Might be late. Don't wait on dinner." Sheila answered immediately. "You found another sofa?" Nia looked toward the office, working on it. She spent the next hour moving paper out of the office and discovered that Ruth had kept every grocery catalog printed since the Reagan administration. 3 boxes went beside the front door for recycling. 2 more held documents Nia was afraid to throw away. Beneath a stack of church bulletins, she found a framed certificate bearing both their names. Ruth Carter and Nia Bennett, partners doing business as Ruth Nia's Corner Grocery. Nia sat on the floor. The certificate was dated 7 years earlier, before the fight, before Chicago, before the green sign went over the old lettering. Behind it were annual registration confirmations. Ruth had renewed the business each year. Every form still listed Nia. Not because she forgot. Ruth forgot birthdays and where she left her coffee, but she did not forget names on business paperwork. She had kept Nia attached to the store through 7 years of silence. Nia ran her thumb over her printed name. Their fight had begun with a freezer. The old one leaked water across the floor and froze peas into a single green brick. Nia had wanted to replace it, install a basic point-of-sale system, and stop tracking supplier checks on the backs of envelopes. Ruth had called the computer a toy and the new freezer an extravagance. Nia used $6,000 from her hotel severance pay to buy it anyway. Ruth put her name on the store, For 6 months, they worked like real partners. Then Nia suggested reducing Ruth's informal credit accounts, and Ruth accused her of treating neighbors like numbers. Nia accused Ruth of using generosity to avoid admitting the store was failing. "You think knowing how to make a spreadsheet means you know how to keep a door open," Ruth had said. "You think losing money proves you have a heart." That was the wound neither of them knew how to cross. When Nia accepted a hotel position in Chicago, Ruth covered the old sign with Carter's Corner Grocery. Nia saw a picture online and understood the message without asking. Now she wondered if Ruth had covered it, because removing painted letters from brick was expensive. The thought made her laugh, then cry so suddenly she had to press her sleeve over her mouth. She stayed on the office floor until the cold came through her skirt. The next morning, Sheila stood beside her car with Nia's trash bags and a folded camping cot balanced against one hip. Sheila was 50, worked hotel housekeeping, and possessed the useful ability to show concern as irritation. "You said late," she told Nia. "You did not say vanished." I texted. "You sent a picture of a desk. It was a very informative desk. You sleeping in a grocery store now?" "Temporarily." That is something people say right before a situation becomes a documentary. Nia took the cot. "Thank you." Sheila opened the rear door and pulled out a laundry basket containing 2 towels, a blanket, bottled water, and an extension cord. "I'm not helping you make this foolishness comfortable," she said. "I'm helping you survive it long enough to reconsider." "Understood." "And this." Sheila handed her a plastic container of pizza, beef on one side, pepperoni on the other. "I didn't know where you'd land emotionally." Nia hugged her before Sheila could object. The store's heat worked, although it produced a burnt dust smell that suggested it resented being awakened. Nia set the cot against the office wall. When unfolded, it prevented the door from opening all the way and left 6 inches between the pillow and the filing cabinet. "Luxury," she said. Before her hotel shift, she called Brandt Produce. A woman transferred her twice. Then a man with a gravelly voice answered, "Walter Brandt. My name is Nia Bennett. I'm calling about Ruth Carter's account. I heard she passed. Sorry, thank you. She owed me $1,842.16. I have the invoice. Then we are both well informed." Nia pulled the blue ledger closer. "I'm considering reopening." Walter was quiet long enough to communicate a full opinion. "I'd need produce," she continued. "Small orders at first. You'd need cash. I can pay cash going forward and make installments on the old balance." "No." "What part?" "The part where I put product on a truck headed to a closed store with no payment history under your name. My name was on the account. Your grandmother's checks were on the account." Nia pressed the heel of her hand against her forehead. "If I bring the old balance down by 500, you got 500? Almost. Almost is not a denomination." She thought of Mr. Alvarez. "I can have it this week." "Then call me this week." He hung up. Nia placed the receiver down carefully. She was beginning to understand why Ruth occasionally called suppliers heathens. At noon, the bell jingled again. Tasha Green walked in carrying a large iced coffee and wearing a camel-colored coat over black slacks. At 19, Tasha had worn bright blue eyeshadow and hidden honey buns beneath the register. At 30, she wore no visible makeup and had the focused expression of a woman who had already solved 3 problems before breakfast. She stopped inside the door. "Look who crawled out of Chicago." "Chicago threw me back. I heard." "From who?" "Mr. Alvarez called me at 7 this morning, asking if you were reopening. Mrs. Pettigrew called at 7:15 asking if you had ordered her coffee. Your marketing campaign is aggressive." Nia came around the counter. They hugged, awkward for the first second, and genuine after that. "I'm sorry about Miss Ruth," Tasha said. "Thank you. She made it hard to know when she was getting worse." "I know." "No, you knew at the end." Tasha sipped her coffee. "Before that, she told everybody you were coming back next month." Nia blinked. "She did?" "For about 4 years." The words hurt in a place Nia had kept defended against accusation, not hope. Tasha walked past her toward the office. "You found the ledgers?" "1. There are 3. Blue is standing orders. Black is walk-in credit. Red is suppliers and bills she wanted to argue about. Where are the others? Probably wherever she put things. When she didn't want me to know, she'd ignored them." Nia followed her. "You were doing deliveries?" "After she couldn't drive. Not all of them." "I have a job, Nia." "I know. Mr. Alvarez said. Mr. Alvarez says a lot, half of it before the other person has agreed. Tasha moved a box with the toe of her boot and spotted the red ledger beneath the desk. There. Nia picked it up. How bad? Bad enough that I told her to close before the store ate the building. Good enough that she lasted longer than I expected. Helpful. You want comfort or numbers? Numbers. You always did. Tasha said it without judgment, but Nia heard Ruth's voice anyway. They spent 40 minutes at the desk. Tasha knew which standing customers still operated, which had stopped ordering, and which balances Ruth had deliberately allowed to sit. She crossed out 2 accounts and put question marks beside 3 others. Green Court might come back, she said. I manage the building now. People complain about walking 6 blocks for groceries. How many orders? I didn't offer you orders. I asked how many. Tasha gave her a flat look. You still jump from idea to conclusion like there's no floor in between. Nia leaned back. Would you help me? I am helping. I mean, if I open. With what time? I'd pay you. With what money? Nia looked at the ledger. Tasha softened slightly. Don't build a plan out of other people being sentimental about Miss Ruth. Grief shops once, convenience shops every week. That sounded like something she'd say. She did. Usually after stocking 6 kinds of canned yams nobody bought. A sharp pop came from the stockroom. The lights went out. The cooler's low hum died, and the office phone disconnected with a click. In the sudden dark, Tasha said, There's your floor. Nia turned on her phone flashlight. Breaker. Electrical panel. I know what a breaker is. Then you know that smell is not good. A hot, bitter odor drifted through the bead curtain. They found the panel warm to the touch. Nia shut off the main switch while Tasha held the light. You need an electrician, Tasha said. I need several things. You need this one before the building catches fire. Nia stared at the row of breakers. Ruth had labeled them in pencil. Lights, freezer, office, other. Tasha lifted her coffee. Very technical. Nia took out her phone. Eli Webb's number was still in her contacts, saved 7 years earlier beneath a photograph of him glaring at the camera while holding a paintbrush. She had never deleted it. She had also never used it after leaving Cleveland without saying goodbye properly. Tasha looked over her shoulder. Oh, she said. This just got interesting. It's electrical. It sure is. Nia stepped away before Tasha could see her hesitate. She pressed the number and listened. On the 4th ring, a man answered. Nia? No, hello, no uncertainty. Just her name, as if he had known someday she would call and had not decided whether to be glad about it. Hi, Nia said. That's what you've got? She turned away from Tasha. I was going to say more. You had 7 years. Okay, this is already going badly. Is somebody hurt? The question came fast, stripped of everything else. Eli had always been that way. He could be furious and still reach for the first aid kit. No. I'm at the store. Something popped in the electrical panel. The lights went out, and now it smells hot. Did you shut off the main? Yes. Leave it off. I did. I'm 10 minutes away. The call ended. Nia stared at the phone. Tasha made a thoughtful sound. That was warmer than I expected. He thinks the building might burn down. He sounded personally offended by the possibility. You have a job, remember? I can be late. You said you didn't have time to help me. This isn't helping. This is witnessing. Eli arrived in 9 minutes. He pushed through the front door carrying a heavy black tool bag and wearing brown work pants, a navy jacket, and the same serious expression Mrs. Pettigrew had remembered. He was taller than Nia's memory allowed, or perhaps adulthood had settled differently on him. His hair was cut close at the sides. A short beard covered the jaw that used to tighten whenever Ruth corrected how he stocked canned goods. His eyes found Nia first, held for 1 second, then moved to Tasha. Green. Webb. You smell smoke? Burnt wire, Tasha said. Back panel. He went straight through the bead curtain. Nia followed. Hello to you too. You said hi on the phone. That was our entire reunion. I'm hoping the building doesn't catch fire. We can make it emotional after. At the panel, he crouched and held the back of his hand near the metal cover without touching it. What was running? Lights, office phone, heat, and one cooler. Which cooler? The first one on the left. Anything plugged into outlets in the office? Lamp? Extension cord. Nothing heavy. He looked over his shoulder toward the cot. You live here? No. Tasha leaned against the stockroom door. She has established a habitat. Nia pointed toward the front. Go manage something. I am. Eli removed the cover and shone a work light inside. His face lost the faint edge of humor. This connection overheated, he said. See the discoloration? Nia leaned closer. Not that close. You told me to see it. I didn't tell you to put your eyelashes in the panel. Tasha covered a laugh with a cough. A section of insulation around one wire had darkened. Eli traced it toward a breaker, then checked the others with a meter. Who worked on this last? Grandma had somebody come out 2 years ago. Who? Somebody from church, I think. That is not an electrical qualification. It was to Ruth. I know. The way he said it told Nia he had argued with her too. Eli opened his bag. This panel isn't good. I can replace the damaged breaker and connection today, but I'm not promising the rest of it. How much? I haven't finished looking. I need a number before you touch anything. His hands stilled. I'm not asking you for charity, she said. I didn't offer it. Good. Tasha looked between them. I'm going to stand farther away in case this becomes weather. Eli turned back to the panel. Labor, 200. Parts at cost, probably under 100 if nothing else is damaged. Nia did the arithmetic. Mr. Alvarez's payment would cover it, leaving less than 200 for everything else. Do it. I need half up front. She stared at him. He met her eyes calmly. You ask everybody for half up front? People who left town owing me dinner? Yes. Tasha abandoned all pretense and laughed. Nia felt heat rise into her face. I did not owe you dinner. You invited me. Then Ruth got sick. You left the following morning. The job orientation was Monday. It was a Friday. How do you remember the day? I bought a shirt. That shut her up. Eli reached back into his bag. I take cards. I can get cash. I take cards, Nia. She paid him $150 through a small reader attached to his phone. The transaction felt more intimate than it should have. He sent a receipt without comment, then handed her a screwdriver. What's this for? You're going to help trace the circuits. I thought I hired you. You hired me to make it safe. If you plan to run this place, you should know what turns off what. Tasha checked her watch. Now, I really do have to go. You're leaving me with him? You called him. She set her empty cup on the counter, then picked it up again after seeing Eli's look. To be continued, she told Nia. Do not order anything until you know what works. Can you call Green Court? Can you learn patience? Probably not in 30 days. Tasha opened the front door, then learned quickly. Eli watched her leave. 30 days? My mother wants me to decide whether to sell. And you? I want enough information to make my own bad decision. Fair. He spent the next 2 hours opening outlets, tracing lines, and making Nia write labels on strips of white tape. The breaker Ruth had marked. Other controlled the restroom, half the office, the exterior sign outlet, and a socket behind the canned vegetables. Why? Nia asked. Electricity has no natural desire to make sense. The first cooler was on a circuit that had been overloaded by 2 extension cords running into the stockroom. Eli removed both. What were these feeding? One went to a space heater. The other might have been for the old freezer. Might have? I've been back 3 days. Give me a minute. He looked at her then. Really looked. I heard about Ruth, he said. Nia kept her eyes on the labels. Everybody did before me, apparently. I went to see her in January. Her hand stopped. Why? She called about the office light. Was it broken? No. The bulb was loose. That sounds like her. She made coffee. We talked. About what? The Browns, the price of eggs. Her belief that I overcharged her in 2019. Did you? No. What else? He tightened a screw. You. Nia waited. Eli returned the panel cover to the wall. That's all you're going to say? You asked what we talked about. What did she say about me? That you were working in a hotel in Chicago. She got that from Facebook. She didn't have Facebook. Camille showed her. She said you'd be back. Nia lowered the marker. Did she say when? No, because she told Tasha next month for 4 years. That sounds about right. The answer irritated her. Did everybody know she expected me except me? Eli packed the damage breaker into an empty parts box. Maybe she expected you because telling herself you weren't coming back was harder. That doesn't explain covering my name. No, you painted the outline. His gaze shifted toward the front window. From the stockroom, only the lower edge of the old lettering was visible. She asked me to cover it, he said. The marker slipped slightly in Naya's fingers. Why? Ask her. She's dead. I know. Then maybe answer me. Eli zipped one compartment of his tool bag. She didn't tell me why. She bought the vinyl sign and asked me to hang it. I asked if she was changing the business registration. She said no. I asked if she was mad at you. She said that was none of my business. And you did it anyway. It was her building. My name was on it. You were gone. The words were quiet, not cruel. They found their target anyway. Nia set the marker on a shelf. You could have called me. I did. She remembered the calls she let go to voicemail because hearing his voice would have required explaining herself. I mean, about the sign. I left a message saying Ruth was making changes at the store. That could mean anything. You didn't call back to ask. The furnace started with a low rumble. The lights remained off because the main breaker was still down, but the building seemed to hold the sound between them. Eli stood. The repair's done. We'll turn on one circuit at a time. If anything smells hot or sounds wrong, we shut it down. Nia wanted to continue the argument. She also knew he had already said the part that mattered. They restored the lights first, then the office, heat, and front outlets. The working cooler shuddered when its circuit came on. Eli monitored the panel while Nia stood by the case. It's humming, she called. That's generally what refrigeration does. I'm sharing information. Touch the inside wall. It's cool or cold. Emotionally unavailable. He appeared at the end of the aisle. So cool. She smiled despite herself. The other two cases did not start. Eli checked power at their outlets, then knelt to inspect the compressors. They're getting electricity, he said. That's all I can tell you. Can you fix them? I could make them worse in an organized way. Useful. You need refrigeration service. How much does that cost? More than you want. That applies to everything. He stood, brushing dust from his knees. Run the good one empty overnight. Put a thermometer inside. Don't stock it until you know it holds temperature. He wrote the final amount on the receipt. $276. Nia paid the remaining balance and tried not to think about her bank account. At the front door, Eli looked up at the exposed sign. The rain had stopped. The old white and blue letters stood out against dark, wet brick. You did good work, Nia said. I was 22. My hands didn't shake yet. They shake now? Only when someone's watching. She could not tell whether he was joking. Why didn't you paint over it? She asked. Why put vinyl on top? Ruth said paint was too permanent. Nia looked at him. Eli lifted his tool bag. She paid cash, exact amount. No tip. That part, I believe. He stepped outside, then turned back. Don't sleep with that space heater plugged in. The office circuit can't handle it. How'd you know I have one? You're cold and stubborn. Those conditions create space heaters. I'll use blankets. Use Sheila's sofa. Nia's spine straightened. How do you know about Sheila? Cleveland isn't Chicago. And what does that mean? It means people notice when you come back. He walked to his van before she found an answer. Nia locked the door and stood beneath the old sign. The painted letters looked less like a secret now than an unfinished argument. Her phone rang. Mr. Alvarez said, You want your money or not? 20 minutes later, Nia entered Alvarez's carryout through a side door and found him stirring red sauce in a steel pot. He was thinner than she remembered, with silver hair beneath a black cap and reading glasses hanging from his collar. He wiped his hand on his apron and held out an envelope. Count it. I trust you. Don't start a business like that. Count. She did. $480. You reopening Thursday? He asked. No. Monday? I have one cooler. I don't need your cooler. I need rice, tomatoes, oil, and bleach. You can buy those from a wholesaler. I can also drive across town, wait in line, load my truck, and lose 2 hours. Ruth charged me to avoid all that. Nia looked at the envelope. What if I could deliver next Friday? Mr. Alvarez returned to his sauce. Then I would pay you next Friday, prepay half. He turned, offended. Ruth never asked that. Ruth is why I'm standing here collecting $480. He considered her, then laughed. There she is, he said. Who? The part of Ruth that knew when not to be Ruth. He opened the register, counted out cash, and placed it beside the envelope, half of next Friday's order. Nia stared at the money. It was not enough to reopen a store. It was barely enough to place one order, but it was the first money anyone had given her for something that had not happened yet. She folded it into the blue ledger receipt pocket and drove back to the grocery with the radio off, listening to the bags of rice shift in her imagination. The cooler held at 48 degrees. Nia checked the thermometer twice, as if disappointment might improve with repetition. Then she lowered the thermostat, wrote the time on masking tape, and stuck it to the glass. The office cot made a metallic complaint when she sat on it. She counted the cash from Mr. Alvarez again, his old balance in one envelope, half of the new order in another. The second amount was $210. It looked both substantial and ridiculous spread across Ruth's desk. Nia called Walter Brandt before she could reconsider. "I have $500 for the old balance," she said when he answered. "Congratulations. And a prepaid order. How big? Small? How small?" She read from Mr. Alvarez's list and added 1 case of onions for potential walk-in sales. Walter's silence grew heavier with each item. "That's not worth putting on my truck. Your truck passes Fulton on Fridays. How do you know my route? My grandmother used to complain that you delivered to the restaurant on Fulton before you came to her. Your grandmother complained recreationally. But am I wrong?" "No." "Then put my order on the truck." Walter breathed through his nose. "Cash before delivery," he said. "I can pay now. No returns on small orders. Fine. And this does not mean you have terms. You've made that beautiful and clear." He gave her the total. It was $32 more than Mr. Alvarez had prepaid. Nia used his deposit and part of her remaining money, then paid $500 toward Ruth's old debt. After the electrical repair and produce payment, her bank balance had fallen low enough that the number looked less like money than a warning. Walter said, "Truck comes between 8 and 11. Can you narrow that down?" "Yes, between 8 and 10:59. He hung up. Nia smiled at the receiver. At 3 in the morning, the cooler temperature reached 39 degrees. She celebrated alone with cold pepperoni pizza and bottled water. The store sounded different after midnight. Pipes ticked, the furnace coughed. Somewhere behind the canned goods, something scratched once and then had the good sense not to repeat itself. Nia lay on the cot beneath Sheila's blanket and watched light from the exterior lamp stripe the office wall. Ruth's glasses remained beside the desk lamp. Nia had tried putting them in a drawer, but the empty spot bothered her more. Sleep came in short, suspicious pieces. At 7, a delivery truck rattled past and woke her. She washed at the tiny restroom sink, changed into her hotel uniform, and attempted to make coffee in Ruth's machine. It produced something dark enough to stain a driveway and twice as bitter. She drank it anyway. By the time she reached the hotel for her afternoon shift, she had been awake long enough to resent the lobby music personally. The Lakehurst was the sort of downtown hotel that described every room as contemporary, even though most of the furniture was gray. Nia worked the front desk from 3 until 11, solving problems involving missing towels, parking charges, and adults who believed a complimentary breakfast meant bacon should be available at all hours. Sheila passed through the lobby, pushing a housekeeping cart. "You look terrible," she said pleasantly. "Thank you." "You sleep at the store?" I rested my eyes. "Did your eyes have a mattress?" "A cot?" Sheila shook her head. "Documentary." A man in a camel coat approached the desk holding his keycard as if it had insulted him. "This doesn't work." Nia took the card. "I'm sorry. Let me remake it. You made it 20 minutes ago." "Yes, sir." "So why would making it again help?" "Because this time I'll threaten it." He did not laugh. Sheila did, all the way to the elevator. During a quiet stretch, Nia built an order sheet on the hotel computer. She listed rice, canned tomatoes, flour, cooking oil, coffee, paper towels, bleach, and onions. Then she added 3 possible grocery bundles based on Ruth's old invoices: a pantry box, a cleaning box, and a coffee and breakfast box. She texted the draft to Tasha. The answer arrived 4 minutes later. "Too many choices." People don't want homework. Nia removed half the options and sent it again. Prices? Working on them. Then you're working on a wish list. Nia found supplier totals in the blue ledger photos she had taken and calculated margins between guest check-ins. The first version barely covered gas and card fees. The second looked expensive. The third made her understand why Ruth had written prices in pencil. Tasha texted, "Better. I'll ask 10 people at Green Court. Ask, not promise." At 10:30, Denise called. Nia let it ring while checking in a couple who were arguing quietly about whether they had packed a charger. When the lobby emptied, she listened to the voicemail. Nia, the real estate agent, can come Monday at 1. I told her we still haven't decided. Please don't make this into a confrontation. Her mother had developed a talent for scheduling confrontations and then objecting to their tone. Nia deleted the message, then recovered it because she might need the agent's information later. The possibility made her stomach clench, but 30 days had been her proposal, not a blood oath. When she returned to the store after midnight, Alana was sitting in her car near the curb. Nia parked behind her and waited. Alana got out carrying a cardboard box. "What happened?" Nia asked. "Nothing. At this hour, people don't sit outside closed groceries with boxes because nothing happened. I work second shift on Thursdays." "You knew that?" "I knew it years ago." Alana approached beneath the streetlight. Without funeral clothes and family voices around her, she looked younger than 34. Tired, too. "I brought some of your things," she said. Inside the box were Nia's phone charger, 2 pairs of shoes, the reading lamp from the upstairs room, a folder of mail, and Ruth's electric kettle. Nia touched the kettle. "This was Grandma's, I know. Denise put it in a box marked kitchen, so I moved it. Does she know?" "No." Nia looked at her. Alana shifted the box higher. "Are we standing out here all night?" They carried it inside. The store lights came on without trouble. Alana inspected the aisles, the working cooler, and the cot visible through the bead curtain. "You are sleeping here, for less than the cost of rent. There are abandoned bus shelters with the same selling point." Nia set the box on the counter. "Did Marcus send you?" "He doesn't know I'm here." "Why is everybody sneaking around your new house?" Alana took off her coat, but did not put it down. "I didn't know Denise hadn't told you. You said that. I need you to believe me. Why?" The question landed harder than Nia intended. Alana looked toward the dark front window. "Because I live in that house now, and every room feels like something I took from you. You did take it." "I know." The answer disarmed Nia. Alana rubbed one thumb along her coat cuff. "Marcus wanted to tell you before the funeral. Denise said you'd make a scene, and Ruth's service would become about the house. I made it through the service without flipping a table. I told him you would. Strong faith. It was a folding table. You would have considered the potato salad." Nia laughed once, then hated herself for it. Alana smiled briefly. "We're not changing the dining room. Why not?" Marcus went in there with paint samples and came back out carrying the same paint samples. The image hurt and comforted her in equal measure. Nia moved Ruth's kettle behind the counter. "You can change things. I'm not haunting you." "I know." "Do you?" "No." Alana finally placed her coat over one arm. "Denise says the store might pay for the roof." "Denise says a lot." Marcus told her, "No." Nia looked up. "He said the roof is our responsibility," Alana continued. "He also told her she had no business calling an agent before your 30 days were up. That happened before or after he found out how much foundation work costs." "After." At least his conscience has timing. Alana accepted that without defending him. At the door, she turned. "He misses you. He has my number. He thinks you won't answer. He can find out." After Alana left, Nia set Ruth's kettle on the office filing cabinet and plugged it into the outlet Eli had labeled Office, Low, Load Only. She stared at the label, then unplugged it until she could ask whether a kettle counted as low. By Friday morning, the order sheet had 8 names from Green Court. 4 pantry boxes had been prepaid. 3 people wanted cleaning supplies. One had crossed out Nia's coffee brand and written blue labeled decaf in capital letters. Mrs. Pettigrew. The total was not large, but it allowed Nia to add household staples to Walter's delivery without spending more of her own money. She called him at 7:58. "You're changing an order on delivery day?" he asked. "I'm expanding it. You say that like a person with credit. I'm paying now. That makes you a person with a debit card." He took the additions anyway. The truck arrived at 10:41. Walter was not driving. A younger man rolled the order through the front door, looked around the nearly empty store, and asked where Nia wanted everything. She pointed toward the stockroom, then changed her mind. "Wait. Rice and tomatoes stay here. Oil along the wall. Onions in the back." He stacked the cases while she checked each item against the invoice. Ruth used to call that insulting the driver. Nia called it discovering one missing case of bleach before the truck left. The driver found it behind a restaurant order. "Good catch," he said. Nia signed the invoice. Mr. Alvarez arrived before she had finished sorting. He came through the door carrying 2 empty milk crates. You deliver, she reminded him. You have a vehicle? Yes. Big enough? She looked at the cases. Her compact sedan had looked larger in theory. Mr. Alvarez smiled. That's what I thought. They loaded his order into his old pickup together. He paid the remaining half and added $20. What's this? Delivery fee. I didn't deliver. You will next time. He lifted one case with a grunt. Naya reached for it, but he waved her off. I'm old, not decorative. When his truck pulled away, the store looked empty again, but not abandoned. 7 boxes waited behind the counter for green quart. Fresh onions filled one produce basket. Canned tomatoes stood in 2 clean rows. Naya used a black marker to write, Saturday, open 9 to 2 on a piece of cardboard. She taped it to the front window before she could decide it was foolish. At 8:55 the next morning, she unlocked the door. The register contained $80 of her own money for change. The single cooler held milk, butter, eggs, and blue label decaf. 2 aisles remained closed with yellow cord while she cleaned them. No one waited outside. At 9:17, Naya began reconsidering every decision she had made since the funeral. At 9:23, the bell jingled. Mrs. Pettigrew walked in, red coat buttoned to the throat. She picked up 1 can of coffee, checked the label, and placed it on the counter. You got it right, she said. Nia rang up the first sale. The receipt printer coughed, dragged the paper sideways, and produced half a number. Mrs. Pettigrew examined it. Your machine needs prayer. My machine needs boundaries. She paid in cash, accepted her crooked receipt, and tucked the coffee beneath her arm. At the door, she looked up at the exposed sign. About time, she said, and left the bell swinging behind her. The bell had not stopped moving before it jingled again. A man in green work pants came in for 2 bottles of water and left with canned soup, batteries, and 3 pieces of cinnamon gum. 10 minutes later, 2 women from Mount Zion bought flour and paper towels. One of them stood at the register, telling Nia how beautiful Ruth's service had been, while the other quietly checked expiration dates. Nia did not blame her. She had checked them twice. By 10:30, there were 6 people in the store, and no one seemed sure whether to shop or offer condolences. A retired bus driver named Mr. Avery took off his cap when he reached the counter. Your grandmother let me run a tab once, he said. Naya braced herself for another unpaid balance. Paid it off in '09, he added. Congratulations. Took me 6 weeks. I'm still proud. He smiled and bought 1 onion. Tasha arrived at 11, carrying the green quart order sheets. She stopped inside the door, surveyed the customers, and raised 1 eyebrow. Grief shops once, Naya said. Good. You listened. I listen. You store the information aggressively, but yes. They packed the prepaid boxes behind the counter. Tasha checked each one against her list, removing an extra bottle of bleach from the 3rd box and adding coffee to the 5th. That woman didn't order coffee, Nia said. She called me at 6 this morning. She orders emotionally. Is that contagious in the building? Very. A customer approached holding a dented can of peaches. How much for this? Nia looked at the price sticker. $1.19. It's dented. $1. Ruth would have given me 50 cents. Ruth is the reason I have 12 dented cans of peaches. The woman stared at her. Nia stared back. 75, Tasha said without looking up. The customer handed over 3 quarters and left satisfied. Nia turned. Whose side are you on? The side where inventory becomes money. By noon, the register drawer had enough cash in it to make Nia nervous. Not a lot, but more than she had expected to see. People came because Mrs. Pettigrew had called them, because Mr. Alvarez had mentioned the store, because someone from Mount Zion posted a photograph of the exposed sign. Several bought items they clearly did not need. One man purchased 10 packs of cinnamon gum and admitted he hated cinnamon. Then why are you buying it? Your grandma always tried to sell it to me. She finally wore you down from beyond. He laughed, then covered his mouth as if laughter inside Ruth's store might be disrespectful. At 2, Nia turned the sign to closed. The day's sales totaled $312.47. After subtracting the prepaid green cord orders, sales tax, card fees, and the wholesale cost of what had sold, her actual gain was much smaller. Still, money had moved through the register. She wrote the total in a new ledger rather than Ruth's. The blank page frightened her. Ruth's numbers carried history, excuses, and handwriting. Nia's first line had nowhere to hide. Tasha leaned over her shoulder. Not terrible. For a woman who doesn't offer comfort, you get close. Don't get excited. Half those people came to pay respects. I know. Next Saturday tells you more. I know. You need prices on everything. I know. And the peaches, I'm raising them to $1.20. Tasha smiled. Now you're learning retail. After she left, Nia swept the floor and found a folded 20 beneath the canned vegetables. For one hopeful second, she thought it had fallen from a customer's pocket. Then she saw Ruth's handwriting on it. Emergency, do not spend on candy. Nia sat back on her heels, holding the bill. Ruth had hidden money all over the store. $5 behind the register receipt rolls, $10 in a coffee tin. Once, $80 inside an empty cereal box that Tasha nearly threw away. None of it was a fortune. Ruth simply trusted emergencies more when they were spread around. Nia placed the 20 in the new register drawer. The bell jingled through the sign said, closed. Marcus entered pushing the old hand truck. Its flat tire had been replaced. Where did you get that? Alana said you were moving cases by hand. She reported me. She described it. How did the hand truck get to you? I came by early. You were at the hotel. Eli was outside. Nia set down the broom. Eli was here. He was checking the panel. He didn't tell me. Marcus shrugged. Maybe he enjoys living. He rolled the hand truck forward. New tire, greased axle. It pulls left, but so do you. I do not pull left. You walk diagonally when you're mad. That is not a thing. You used to end up on my side of the sidewalk. Nia wanted to stay annoyed, but the memory was too ordinary and too old. Thank you, she said. Marcus nodded toward the register. How'd you do? 312 gross. His eyebrows rose. Gross, she repeated. Before costs. Still. Grief shops once. Who said that? Tasha. She's still around? She manages Green Court. Marcus looked impressed. Honey bun. Tasha? She has evolved. He moved down the aisle, reading the handwritten prices. I told Ma to cancel Monday. She called the agent anyway. I know, so you telling her did a lot. His face tightened. I can't control her. You don't have to. You can leave when she brings tape. He ran one hand along the empty shelf. You really think this can work? I think one cooler works. That's not an answer. It's the answer I have. He nodded slowly. You need help cleaning? Nia almost said no. The response rose automatically, familiar and clean. Then she looked at the cases piled in the stockroom and the dark streaks beneath the bottom shelves. You can break down cardboard. Marcus removed his jacket. They worked for 2 hours without mentioning the house. He flattened boxes. Nia scrubbed shelf liners. They argued about music and whether a jar of mustard from 2018 qualified as food or evidence. When Marcus left, he took the recycling and 3 bags of spoiled dry goods. He did not ask for money. On Sunday, Nia bought modest quantities of milk, butter, eggs, and orange juice from a warehouse store. The cooler had held at 38 degrees for 2 nights, and customers had asked for all 4 items. She stocked them before her hotel shift, checking the thermometer twice. At 11:30 that night, she returned to silence. The cooler was not humming. Nia stood inside the locked store with her coat still on. She pressed her palm against the glass. It was cool, but not cold. The thermometer read 57. No. She opened the door. The interior light came on, proving only that electricity was reaching it. The milk cartons felt wrong. The butter had softened along the edges. Nia checked the breaker. It had tripped. She reset it. The compressor attempted to start, made a hard mechanical clunk, and tripped the breaker again. No, no, no. She called Eli, then hung up before the first ring finished. This was not wiring. He had told her to find refrigeration service, and she had heard only what hope allowed. For 10 minutes, she stood with one hand on the cooler door, calculating how long the temperature might have been high. The answer kept changing, depending on how badly she wanted the inventory to be safe. Tasha answered on the second call. What happened? The cooler's at 57. I don't know when it stopped. Throw out the dairy. It might have been recent. You don't know. The eggs could be fine. You don't know. I just bought everything. I know. Nia closed her eyes. Tasha's voice softened without becoming negotiable. Throw it out. Nia filled 2 garbage bags. Milk, butter, eggs, juice. Each item made a small, stupid sound when it landed. The loss was $163. She wrote the number in the ledger. At 2 in the morning, she sat on the office cot with Ruth's cardigan wrapped around her shoulders and the failed cooler visible through the bead curtain. The register money from Saturday no longer felt like evidence of possibility. It felt like something the building had noticed and taken back. She slept through her alarm. A pounding on the front glass woke her at 12:48 Monday afternoon. Nia came out of the office wearing sweatpants, one sock, and Ruth's cardigan. Denise stood outside beside a woman in a red wool coat. The real estate agent. Nia unlocked the door, but left the close sign turned outward. "You said one," she told her mother. "It is almost one." "I didn't say she could come." Denise entered anyway. The agent remained near the door, caught between professionalism and common sense. "This is Lorraine Maddox," Denise said. "She's only here to give you an idea of the building's value." Lorraine offered a cautious hand. "We don't have to do anything today." "Thank you," Nia said. "We're not." Denise's gaze moved over the shelves, then stopped at the garbage bags near the stockroom. One had leaked a pale line across the floor. What happened? Cooler failed? Denise closed her eyes briefly. "Nia? Don't say my name like the refrigerator broke because I'm impulsive. You spent money after I warned you. Why did you bring an agent after I said 30 days? To give you information. You brought her here while I was asleep." Lorraine took one small step toward the door. "I can leave my card." "That would be great," Nia said. Denise turned. "Lorraine, please give us a minute." Lorraine placed her card on the counter and escaped into the cold. Denise lowered her voice. "Look at yourself." Nia looked down. One sock. Ruth's cardigan buttoned wrong. A faint line from the cot pressed across her cheek. "I'm looking. You're sleeping in an office? You're throwing food away. You worked all weekend and what do you have? A customer list. You have garbage bags. And a customer list." Denise's shoulders fell. "Why must every hard thing become a test you have to pass?" "Because every easy thing goes to Marcus." The words stopped them both. Denise looked toward the exposed sign. "That store wore your grandmother down. So did the house. The house gave her somewhere to rest. I gave her somewhere to rest." Denise turned back sharply. Nia's throat tightened, but she did not look away. Her mother picked up Lorraine's card, set it closer to the register, and walked out without another word. The bell was still swinging when Tasha entered carrying a folder. She glanced toward Denise's departing car. "Good morning. It's afternoon. You're wearing one sock. Time is flexible." Nia folded her arms over Ruth's cardigan. "What's in the folder?" 11 prepaid orders for Friday, mostly shelf-stable. I told them dairy was not available." Nia stared at her. Tasha placed the pages on the counter. Green Court liked the first boxes. "Mrs. Pettigrew said your prices were fair, but your receipt was disrespectful. The printer has emotional problems. So do you. We work around them." Nia looked at the order totals. 11 boxes would not replace the cooler or erase the spoiled inventory. They would cover a supplier order, pay Tasha for delivery help, and leave a margin worth writing down. She took Lorraine's card and slid it beneath the register drawer. Then she found her other sock. The 11 orders turned into 14 before Walter Brandt's cutoff. Nia removed dairy from the sheet, added canned tuna and oatmeal, and rebuilt every price to include delivery time. Tasha objected to the increase on the cleaning box. $3, she asked. It was underpriced. People already ordered. Then this week stays the old price. And next week, $3 more. Tasha nodded. Good. Nia looked up from the calculator. "You were waiting to see if I'd change it on them." "I was waiting to see if you understood the difference between correcting a price and changing an agreement. You enjoy testing me. I enjoy not explaining obvious things twice." They placed the supplier order from the front counter. Walter complained about the size, the additions, the delivery window, and the fact that Nia wanted separate invoices for standing orders and store inventory. He accepted payment anyway. When they finished, Nia slid an envelope toward Tasha. "What's this?" Tasha asked. 3 hours from Saturday and 2 today. I didn't agree to work for you. You did work. I helped. You alphabetized orders and called 7 people whose handwriting I couldn't read. That's work." Tasha opened the envelope. "This is too much. It's 20 an hour. For something you can't afford. I can afford 6 hours. I can't afford a silent partner who gets angrier every time I ask a favor." Tasha studied her. Nia fought the urge to fill the silence. Ruth used to say that whoever spoke first after naming a price had already lost. Finally, Tasha put the envelope in her purse. 6 hours, she said. 6. And I'm not promising next week. Fine. Don't say fine like you've already scheduled me. Nia turned the page of the ledger. Would Friday morning be difficult? Tasha pointed at her. This is why people find you exhausting. By Friday afternoon, 14 boxes stood in 2 rows across the front of the store. Nia had written each name on both the box and the order sheet. Tasha checked them, discovered that Nia had put 2 bottles of oil in Mrs. Pettigrew's box instead of 1, and quietly moved the extra to the right order. I was testing you, Nia said. No, you weren't. No. They loaded the boxes onto the repaired hand truck. Greencourt Apartments was 3 blocks away, a 6-story brick building with a narrow lobby and an elevator that shuttered between floors. You manage this? Nia asked as the doors bumped closed. I manage the parts that agree to be managed. The first 8 customers collected their orders from a folding table in the community room. They opened boxes, compared prices, and made requests for the next week. One wanted less rice. Another wanted more cleaning supplies. Mrs. Pettigrew inspected her Blue Label coffee and nodded as if approving a treaty. A woman named Gloria Evans waited until the room cleared. She was perhaps 55, with silver braids pulled into a bun and a work badge from a medical laundry clipped to her sweater. Her order sheet remained unsigned. Can I pay you next Friday? She asked. Nia looked at the total. $58. I'm doing prepaid orders. I know, Tasha told me. I can't carry balances right now. Gloria kept one hand on the box. Ruth used to let me. The sentence carried no threat. That made it harder. Nia thought of the black ledger still tucked beneath Ruth's desk. She had found Gloria's name in it the previous night. Small balances, always paid, sometimes 2 or 3 weeks late. Miss Ruth knew me, Gloria said. I know who you are. That's not the same. Nia glanced toward Tasha, who was folding empty cartons and pretending not to listen. I can hold the box until Friday, Nia said. I need the groceries now. The room became too quiet. This was the argument that had split Nia and Ruth years earlier, returned in a green-painted community room under fluorescent lights. Ruth would have handed over the box. Ruth also died, owing Walter Brandt nearly $2,000. Nia removed 2 items and recalculated. 25 today, she said. 33 next Friday. Nothing new goes on the account until this is paid. Gloria's face tightened. I said Friday, and I said 25. For a moment, Nia thought she would walk away. Gloria opened her purse, counted out a 20 and 5 ones, and pushed them across the table. Nia wrote the balance on a carbon receipt. You get 1 active tab, maximum $40. You pay something every week or it closes. Ruth never had all these rules. Ruth had rules. She kept them in her head. Gloria took the box. Her head was friendlier. After she left, Tasha finished folding the last carton. You want to say I handled that wrong? Nia asked. No, you're making a face. This is my regular face. You think I should have given it to her? I think Ruth would have. Ruth's not paying the supplier. I know. Nia gathered the receipts. Then what? Tasha lifted the folding table by one end. I think your rules are good. I also think you said them like you were sentencing her. Nia grabbed the other end. She got the groceries. And no dignity with them. That seems dramatic. People remember how you make them ask. The elevator doors opened. Neither spoke while they maneuvered the table inside. Back at the store, Nia created an emergency tab policy on 1 sheet of paper. $40 maximum, 1 account per person. Weekly payment required. No alcohol, tobacco, or prepared food. She taped it beside the register, read it twice, then added, Ask privately. We'll talk. Tasha saw the addition and said nothing. The store opened Saturday with the front third fully stocked. Nia had closed the 2 rear aisles using yellow cord, which made the occupied part look deliberate rather than empty. She moved canned goods to eye level, placed household supplies along one wall, and used the dead cooler as a display for paper towels. At 10, the receipt printer jammed. At 10:15, Mr. Avery attempted to repair it by striking the side. At 10:16, it worked. Professional service, he said. Nia gave him his onion at cost. The second Saturday brought fewer sympathy shoppers and more actual errands. Sales were lower than the first week by $38, but the average purchase was higher, and 3 customers asked to join the standing order list. Gloria came in before noon and paid $10 on her balance without being asked. Nia handed her the receipt. "Thank you," she said. Gloria examined the total. "Your grandmother used to draw a smiley face. I can do that. Don't force it." She left before Nia could answer. At closing, Eli arrived with a roll of wire and a paper bag from Alvarez Carryout. "I didn't order anything," Nia said. "I did." He set the bag on the counter. Red sauce had begun staining the bottom. "You checked the panel?" she asked. "You know, some people say hello before assigning labor. You use my one hello for the decade. That's fair." He went to the back while Nia locked the door. She followed him, carrying 2 containers of pasta from the bag. "What are you checking?" "The new connection. Make sure it isn't heating. Marcus said you came by Sunday. He worries." "Marcus?" "The panel." Eli removed the cover, checked the repair, and tightened one screw. "All good," he said. "The cooler died. I saw the bags. It tripped the breaker twice. Because the compressor's failing. Keep that circuit off until somebody services it. Somebody quoted me $1,100 if it needs replacement. That's not terrible. It is from inside my bank account." He replaced the cover. "Then sell shelf-stable food." "I am." "Looks like it." They ate at the front counter. Nia used Ruth's plastic forks, which bent under the pasta. Eli snapped his and continued eating with the short half. "You could get another fork," she said. "This one has committed." She watched him scrape sauce from the container. "What did Ruth say when you came in January?" He did not look up. "We did this. You gave me the weather report." "I told you she said you'd come back." "Did she ask you to call me?" "No." "Did she ask about the sign?" "She asked if the vinyl was holding." "That's it?" "That's it." Nia pushed pasta around her container. "Did she know she was dying?" "Yes." The answer was immediate. "How?" "Because she told me." Nia's fork stopped. Eli set his container down. She said her heart was getting worse and she wasn't going back to the hospital unless she had to. "She didn't tell me that. You were taking care of her. Maybe she thought you knew. I knew she was sick. I didn't know she—" The word dying would not cooperate. Eli folded the paper bag flat. Ruth had a way of giving different people one piece and assuming we'd build the whole thing without talking. That's a nice way to say she manipulated everybody. She also made good coffee. No, she did not. True. Nia looked toward the office where Ruth's glasses rested beside the lamp. "She told me people who belong somewhere didn't spend all their time remaking it. She complained about you for changing things." "I know." "She bragged about the new freezer to everyone." Nia laughed bitterly. "The freezer she said would bankrupt us?" "She called it Nia's fancy machine. She took people to the back to look at it." "That is insane." "That is Ruth." The answer settled between them. Eli checked the clock. "You still sleeping in the office?" "Temporarily." "There's an apartment upstairs. There's a storage unit upstairs with plumbing. You could fix it." "With what money?" "The same imaginary money paying for your cooler." "Exactly." He carried the empty containers to the trash. "At least sleep up there. Windows, a door that shuts. The ceiling's open in the bedroom, and Ruth turned off the water after a pipe froze." "You looked?" "Not recently." Eli found the stairwell door behind the stockroom. A stack of flattened boxes blocked it. "You want to inspect my whole inheritance tonight?" Nia asked. "I want to know if you're sleeping 6 feet from an electrical panel when there's a better option." They moved the boxes. Dust coated the narrow stairs. At the top, Nia unlocked a swollen wooden door and pushed with her shoulder. Cold air met them. The apartment smelled of plaster, dry wood, and years without cooking. Moonlight fell through 2 tall windows into a small living room crowded with old store displays. A rolled rug leaned against one wall. The kitchenette cabinets hung crooked. Beyond it, the bathroom door stood open, revealing a rust-streaked sink. Eli found the switch. One bare bulb came on. The place was damaged, neglected, and full of work. It was also larger than the room Nia had lost at the bungalow. She walked to the front window. From there, she could see the grocery sign below, the white letters catching light from the street lamp. Ruth Nia's. Eli stood a few feet behind her. "You could make this livable," he said. Nia touched the cold glass. For the first time since Denise picked up the masking tape, the idea of home did not look like a door closing behind someone else. The apartment's water remained off for a reason. When Eli opened the valve in the basement, something inside the upstairs wall began hissing. "Close it," Nia called down the stairwell. The hissing stopped. A dark spot appeared beneath the kitchenette sink, spread across the cabinet floor, and dripped onto one of Nia's shoes. She looked down. That feels personal. Eli came upstairs carrying a flashlight and found the split pipe behind the cabinet. Easy repair. You said that about the ceiling too. The ceiling is easy. The roof above it is a different conversation. How expensive is the conversation? Depends how much you enjoy having indoor weather. He checked the bathroom fixtures, outlets, and windows while Nia made a list. 1 cracked pipe, 2 leaking faucets, 3 outlets that needed replacing, bedroom ceiling open from an old plumbing repair, kitchen cabinets ugly but functional. The furnace vent worked, the locks worked, nothing smelled alive. I've rented worse, Nia said. I remember. She looked at him. You were in my first apartment once. I carried a dresser up 3 flights of stairs. You complained the whole time. The dresser was made of oak and bad decisions. You stayed for pizza. You were supposed to stay for dinner 7 years ago. There it was again. Nia leaned against the kitchenette counter. I'm sorry. Eli stopped writing on his inspection pad. I should have called, she said. I should have answered when you called me. I kept thinking I needed to know what I was going to say before I said anything, and then enough time passed that every explanation sounded ridiculous. What was the explanation? I was angry at Ruth. I was scared I'd spend my whole life fighting with her in this store. Chicago offered me a job where nobody knew my mother, my brother, my grandmother, or how much money I'd wasted on a freezer. You didn't waste it. I didn't know that then. What did that have to do with me? Nia looked toward the dark bedroom. Nothing, she said. That was the cowardly part. Eli folded the inspection pad closed. I didn't need you to stay. I know. I needed you to say you were leaving. I know. The bulb above them buzzed. He opened his tool bag. Hand me the flat screwdriver. That's it? That's what? You've been holding that for 7 years. I've done other things. You bought a shirt? It was a good shirt. She handed him the screwdriver. He replaced the first outlet while she held the light. Neither forgave the other for anything, but the room felt more honest. Marcus arrived the next afternoon with a pipe wrench, 2 gallons of white paint, and Alana carrying sandwiches. I didn't invite anybody, Nia said. Alana walked past her. Good. Then nobody can call you a poor hostess. Marcus looked up the stairwell. Eli said you needed plumbing. You two have a newsletter? He called to ask if I still had Dad's pipe tools. Their father had left those tools and not much else when he moved to Arizona 12 years earlier. Marcus kept them in a red metal box and became defensive whenever anyone suggested throwing it away. You know how to repair copper pipe? Nia asked. I watched 3 videos. No, Eli's coming. Then why are you holding the wrench? It establishes authority. By evening, the split pipe had been replaced, the bedroom ceiling patched, and the living room cleared of old displays. Eli handled the plumbing. Marcus handed him tools and claimed this counted as apprenticeship. Alana washed the kitchenette cabinets with hot water, carried upstairs in a bucket. Nia scraped flaking paint from a window frame. For several hours, the 4 of them worked without discussing the house, Denise, or whether Nia had a right to be angry. They argued about the radio. Marcus ate both sandwiches meant for him and half of Alana's. Eli found an old can of peaches behind a display rack and asked if it qualified for the 75-cent promotion. At 9, water ran from the kitchen faucet. It sputtered brown, coughed air, then cleared. Nia held her fingers beneath it. Don't drink that yet, Eli said. I'm touching it. You have an adventurous relationship with safety. Marcus leaned against the counter. White paint marked one side of his beard. We can move the cot up tomorrow. We? You're not carrying it alone. I got it into the office. You dragged it, Sheila told Alana. Nia looked at Alana. There really is a newsletter. Alana wrung out a rag. You make secrecy difficult. Denise appeared the following morning. She stood inside the apartment doorway, taking in the patched ceiling, paint cans, and Nia's cot folded against the wall. Her expression did not reveal who had told her. Marcus set down the roller. Ma, you said you were working at the house today. I said I was doing repairs. At your house. I didn't specify. Denise looked at Nia. So, everybody's here. Not everybody, Nia said. The hurt crossed her mother's face before pride covered it. Alana began gathering brushes. Eli disappeared into the bathroom with suspicious speed. Marcus stayed beside the paint tray. I asked him to help, Nia said, though she had not. Denise touched the edge of a cabinet. Mama kept this apartment empty for 15 years. The pipe was broken. It was empty before that. Marcus sighed. Can we not? Denise turned toward him. The porch railing at home is loose. I'll fix it this afternoon. You were supposed to fix it yesterday. I'll fix it today. You have your own property to maintain. The sentence sounded familiar in her voice. Nia saw Denise hear it too. Her mother moved to the front window. From there, the bungalow was not visible. Only Fulton Street, the bus stop, the carry-out, and the top edge of the grocery sign below. I hated this place, Denise said. No one answered. I worked downstairs every day after my shift at the clinic, Saturdays too. Mama would call and say Tasha hadn't shown up, or a delivery was late, or somebody needed to go to the bank. Denise rubbed dust from the windowsill with one finger. Everything was always an emergency. She expected family to fill every gap. Nia set down her scraper. Then, why are you so angry I might close it? Denise asked. If you hated it? I'm not angry you might close it, you called an agent, because I know what it costs to keep a place like this alive. Mama chose that store over rest, over retirement, over coming to Columbus when I needed her. Then she handed it to you like it was love. She handed you the house. Denise gave a humorless smile. After living in it for 43 years, I thought maybe I had earned one thing that didn't come with an invoice. The apartment went quiet. Nia understood then that Denise had not looked at the house and seen square footage. She had seen repayment. That did not make throwing Nia out less cruel. It only made the cruelty older. You could have told me, Nia said. You would have fought me. I am fighting you. You know what I mean. No, I know what you decided I meant. Denise looked at Marcus, at Alana, then toward the bathroom, where Eli was doing an unconvincing impression of plumbing work. You all made this a family project quickly. Come paint, Nia said. Her mother stared at her. It was not forgiveness. Nia had offered the invitation almost as a challenge, and they both knew it. Denise picked up her purse. I have a railing to wait for. After she left, Marcus began rolling paint too hard onto the wall. She does that, Nia said. What? Makes the last sentence feel like a subpoena. He laughed despite himself. The apartment became barely livable over the next week. Nia moved the cot upstairs, hung a curtain over the bedroom doorway, and found a second-hand table with one short leg. Sheila contributed a set of green towels and denied choosing the color. The store below developed rhythms of its own. Orders closed Tuesday. Walter delivered Friday. Tasha worked 6 paid hours, then 8, then told Nia to stop pretending she was temporary and put her on a regular schedule. The emergency tab reached 5 customers and remained under $200 total. Gloria paid another $10 without being asked. Saturday sales rose. Not dramatically, not enough to replace a cooler, enough to buy inventory without using Nia's hotel paycheck. When several customers asked whether Ruth's bean soup would return, Nia dismissed the idea until Mr. Alvarez offered his licensed kitchen during the dead hours between breakfast prep and lunch. You pay for gas, ingredients, and cleaning, he said. Also 2 bowls. One for me, one for whoever is working. That person can buy it. You bargain like your mother. Nia stared at him. Mr. Alvarez raised both hands. Ruth said that, not me. The first pot took 3 hours because Nia had forgotten how long Ruth cooked the onions. The recipe existed only as notes in the margin of a church cookbook. More cumin than they think, no sugar, don't rush beans. Nia sold out in 40 minutes. The second batch sold out too. The paperwork was less charming. Her grocery registration did not cover regular prepared food sales. She needed an added permit, food handling records, temperature logs, and an approved preparation arrangement with Alvarez Carryout. None of it was impossible. All of it required time she did not have. She worked hotel shifts until 11, slept upstairs, prepared soup at dawn twice a week, packed green court orders, and opened the store Thursday evenings and Saturdays. Her hands smelled permanently of onions and sanitizer. On the 29th day, she miscounted 3 pantry boxes, forgot to pay the insurance installment, and burned the bottom of a soup pot. At 5 in the afternoon, Denise came into the store carrying Lorraine Maddox's card. She waited while Nia rang up Mr. Avery's weekly onion and a can of coffee. When the door closed behind him, Denise placed the card on the counter. Tomorrow is 30 days, she said. I know. Have you decided? Nia wiped soup from the front of her apron. She pulled the new ledger from beneath the register and opened it to the page where every sale, supplier, payment, tab, repair, and hour of Tasha's wages had been recorded. The profit was small. The workload was unreasonable. The cooler was dead. The upstairs apartment still had no proper bedroom ceiling, and Naya had slept 4 hours the night before. But the supplier order had grown for 3 consecutive weeks. Standing customers were paying before delivery. The store's current bills were covered. Nia turned the ledger toward her mother. "I'm not selling." Denise did not look at the numbers. She looked at Nia's face. "Then don't ask this family to save you when it goes wrong," she said. Nia closed the ledger. "I stopped asking before Grandma died." Denise flinched as if Nia had raised her voice. "That is not fair." "No," Nia said. "It isn't. I came every weekend I could. You came twice a month." "Sometimes. I was working. So was I. I paid for things." "So did I." Denise pressed Lorraine's card flat against the counter with 2 fingers. "You make it sound like I abandoned Mama. I'm telling you what I did. If that sounds like something you didn't do, I can't fix that." Her mother's eyes brightened, but she refused to blink. "Do you know what Mama said when I asked her to move closer to me?" Denise asked. "She said she already had a daughter in the house." Nia went still. "She meant you," Denise continued. "Not that you were helping, that you had replaced me. I never asked to replace anybody. You didn't have to. You were here. That was the requirement." Denise picked up the agent's card. "Keep your store." "I plan to. Keep all of it. The bills, the leaking ceiling, the people who think knowing Ruth means they can take pieces of you. But don't stand there and pretend she only cost you something. She chose you in ways she never chose me. She gave you her house. A house is not a mother." The bell jingled hard behind her. Nia watched through the window as Denise crossed to her car. She did not turn back. The old lettering above the awning cast a faint shadow across the glass, Ruth's name touching Nia's, whether either of them deserved it. At 6 the next morning, Nia burned another pot of onions. "Mr. Alvarez came into the kitchen, smelled the air, and switched off the burner. "You're rushing. I know. You cannot rush onions. I know. I have to open the hotel desk at 3, my supplier order is due at 10, and Tasha needs the green court list by noon. None of those things make onions cook faster." He lifted the pot and carried it toward the dish station. Nia reached for it. "I can save them." "No, the top layer is fine. The bottom tastes angry. I can work around it." Mr. Alvarez blocked her with one elbow. "Throw away $6 of onions or sell $60 of bad soup. Choose." Nia let go of the handle. He dumped the onions. She started again and missed the supplier cutoff by 11 minutes. Walter took the order only after making her listen to an extended speech about clocks. She finished the soup at 11:40, rushed it to the store, and realized she had left the printed ingredient labels at Alvarez carryout. By 2, all but 4 containers had sold. The sales looked good in the ledger until Tasha added the kitchen fee, ingredients, containers, permit cost, Naya's prep time, and the batch she had burned. "You made $27, Tasha said. "I made more than that." "You paid yourself nothing. If I erase your labor, you made $27. My labor isn't a cash expense." Neither was Ruth's. Naya closed the ledger too quickly. "It brings people into the store. Some. It also makes you late, tired, and unpleasant." "I'm always unpleasant. This is less charming." A customer entered and the argument paused. Nia sold 2 soups, a loaf of bread, and a bottle of dish soap. When the woman left, Tasha pointed toward the receipt. "She came for soup and bought other things," Nia said. "She also waited while you forgot where you put the bread." "I knew where it was." "You looked in the freezer? The layout is changing. The freezer is dead." Nia untied her apron. "What are you suggesting?" "1 soup day, not 2. Smaller batch. Raise the price 50 cents. Ruth sold it twice a week. Ruth had a store open 6 days and did not work nights at a hotel. People ask for it. People will ask until you have nothing left and then tell your story at the funeral." Nia stared at her. Tasha did not apologize. The hotel called before Nia could answer. Her manager, Carmen Lewis, asked why she was not at the front desk. Nia looked at the clock. 3:18. She grabbed her coat. Carmen was waiting in the back office when Nia arrived 26 minutes late. She was a small woman with silver-framed glasses and a habit of lining up pens by color. Nia had worked under her for 2 years without being late more than 3 times. Sit, Carmen said. I can explain. You can sit and explain. Nia remained standing. The supplier order ran late, and then we were doing numbers. We, Tasha and me. At the grocery. Yes. Carmen removed her glasses. Nia, last week you remade the same guest's key 4 times because you forgot you had already done it. He kept putting it beside his phone. The 4th key was not beside his phone. It was in your hand. Nia's face warmed. You missed an insurance call Monday, Carmen continued. You entered a parking payment under the wrong room Tuesday. Sheila found you asleep in the linen room yesterday. I was resting. You were holding a towel, like a blanket. Nia looked at the floor. Carmen's voice softened. You are good at this job. You are not good at 2 full jobs. The store isn't full-time yet. Your face disagrees. I need the paycheck. I know. That is why this is a warning and not a termination. Nia looked up. You have to be here when scheduled, Carmen said. Awake. If you cannot do that, I can move you to 2 shifts a week temporarily. But I cannot promise the hours will be available when you want them back. 2 shifts would cover the apartment's basic utilities and little else. 5 shifts were making everything else impossible. I'll take 2, Nia said. Carmen watched her carefully. Think before you answer. I just did. No. You reacted. Go work the desk. Tell me before you leave tonight. Nia spent 8 hours checking guests in, beneath lighting, designed to make everyone look rested. At 10:45, a woman approached the desk to ask whether the lobby coffee was fresh. Nia checked the pot. The coffee had been sitting long enough to develop legal rights. I'll make another, she said. The woman smiled. Thank you, honey. Most places just tell you it is. Nia emptied the pot, measured new grounds, and thought about Ruth's store. Fresh coffee mattered because somebody had to notice the old coffee. Nothing stayed open through love alone. Somebody checked temperatures, paid invoices, wiped counters, said no, and showed up at 3. Before leaving, she told Carmen to reduce her schedule. The lost hours frightened her all the way home. Upstairs, water came from the faucet without leaking. The living room smelled faintly of white paint. Nia sat at the uneven table and reopened the soup numbers. Tasha was right. She changed the schedule to 1 day, reduced the batch, raised the price, and wrote herself an hourly wage into the cost. The profit remained small, but it was real. At 1 in the morning, she texted Tasha a photograph. Tasha answered with a thumbs up, then added, "Go to sleep." Nia did. She slept 7 uninterrupted hours and woke feeling as if she had committed fraud. The next Saturday, 1 soup pot sold out by noon. 3 people complained that there was no Thursday batch. Nia thanked them for missing it. By closing, sales were the highest yet. Eli arrived as she counted the register. He carried a used wooden door over one shoulder. What is that? Bedroom door. I have a curtain. Your curtain is a bedsheet with purple flowers. It provides coverage. It moves when the furnace comes on. She came around the counter. How much? $20. For the door? For the door hinges? And my deep regret at helping you. 25. That is not how bargaining works. It is when I don't want to owe you. His expression changed slightly. You paid for the electrical work. This isn't electrical. No, it's a door. I can see that. Then our communication is improving. They carried it upstairs. The door was scratched and slightly darker than the frame, but it fit. Eli planed one edge while Nia held it steady. You cut hotel hours, he said. Does Sheila publish daily now? She asked me whether I knew anyone who needed a hotel worker with management experience. She did what? She worries in multiple directions. Nia steadied the door. I'm not quitting. Didn't say you were. I need the store to pay me before I leave the hotel. That sounds reasonable. You don't have to sound surprised. I'm not surprised. 7 years ago, you would have quit first and built the plan while driving. That was one time. That was Chicago. She opened her mouth, then closed it. Eli smiled down at the hinge. There, Nia said. You do know how. How what? Smile without charging. $25. The bell downstairs jingled. The store was closed, but Marcus stood outside holding a gray metal cash box. Nia let him in. Found this in the hall closet, he said. It has your name on it. The box was not locked. Inside were utility receipts, repair invoices, and bank statements Nia had kept during Ruth's illness. She had assumed Denise threw them away while clearing papers. Marcus removed a folded page. Grandma wrote notes on some. Nia took it. Electric paid by Naya, Ruth had written across the top. Pay her when Denise sends money. Another receipt said, water heater, Nia covered $640. Do not forget. There were 12 notes in all. Nia lowered herself onto the stool behind the register. Did Ma see these? She asked. Marcus did not answer immediately. Marcus. She knew about the water heater. She told me she had paid for it. The store seemed to tilt, not from surprise exactly, but from having an old suspicion acquire edges. She told you I was living there free. I know. No? You repeated it. He looked at the floor. I wanted the house, he said. Every explanation she gave me made wanting it easier. Nia folded the receipt along Ruth's crease. Marcus set both hands on the counter. I'm sorry. She had imagined hearing that from him. In the imagined version, it fixed something. In the store, with a used bedroom door upstairs and Ruth's debts in one ledger and Nia's payments in a cash box, the apology was only true. It was not enough, but it was not nothing. Nia placed the folded receipt back in the cash box. Why were you in the hall closet? Marcus looked toward Eli, who was still standing near the stairwell, with one hand resting on the bedroom door. Eli picked up his tools. I'm going upstairs to charge you more money. When he disappeared, Marcus said, We're clearing things out. What things? Old coats, boxes, some furniture. Whose furniture? Nia. Whose? He pressed his tongue against the inside of his cheek. Ma scheduled a donation pickup. Nia stood. For what? The sofa in the basement, Grandma's sewing cabinet, the dining table, the kitchen table, dining table. Whatever. Grandma called it the kitchen table. It's in the dining room, because her medical bed took over the dining room and we moved it against the kitchen wall. Marcus nodded as if this distinction might save him. She's giving it away? Nia asked. She said it was scratched and Alana and I could get something that fits the room better. Does Alana want something different? No? Did anybody ask me? I thought Ma did. You need to stop thinking that. Nia took Ruth's keys from beneath the register. Her coat was upstairs, but she did not bother getting it. Marcus moved between her and the door. What are you doing? Picking up my table. It weighs 200 pounds. Then it'll finally meet a problem heavier than itself. I can call Ma. I know where she lives. So do I, unfortunately. He grabbed his jacket and followed. The bungalow looked unchanged from the sidewalk, except for a blue tarp stretched over one section of the roof. A length of caution tape circled the porch railing. Denise's sedan occupied the driveway. Nia walked in without knocking. The house smelled like lemon cleaner instead of fried onions, menthol cream, or Ruth's coffee. 2 framed photographs had been removed from the living room wall, leaving pale rectangles. The hospital grooves remained in the dining room rug. Alana stood beside the kitchen table, wrapping Ruth's sewing cabinet drawers in newspaper. Nia, did you know about the table? Alana looked at Marcus behind her. I told Denise I didn't want her to get rid of it. Denise entered from the hallway, carrying a box of folded linens. What is this? She asked. I'm taking Grandma's table. No, you're not. That saved time. Denise put the box on a chair. The donation pickup is tomorrow. They're taking several pieces at once. They're not taking that. You have nowhere to put it. I have an apartment with 1 folding chair. So, you agree I need a table. It is too large. I'll live around it. Denise looked past her toward Marcus. You brought her here to start a fight? I brought myself, Nia said. I was talking to your brother. That's a habit. Marcus closed the front door. Ma, let her have it. Denise turned on him. The house belongs to you. Everything in it that was not specifically left to someone is for you and Alana to decide. Alana already decided. Alana still held a sheet of newspaper. I said Nia should get first choice. You also said you wanted a smaller table. I said a smaller table might fit better if Nia wanted this one. Denise stared at her as if betrayal had begun breeding in the walls. Nia walked to the table and placed her palm against the worn oak edge. One corner bore a dark crescent from the time Ruth set down a hot skillet without a trivet. A shallow scratch ran across the middle, where Marcus had dragged a metal bank across it when he was 22 and temporarily interested in saving coins. Every mark had a witness. Denise said, You already took Mama's skillet, her cardigan, her kettle, and the business she put your name on. At what point is anyone else allowed to keep something? Keep it then. Her mother blinked. Keep the table, Nia said. Eat at it, scratch it, let Alana put flowers on it. But you're donating it because you decided it was old and you didn't tell me. It is furniture. No, it's the table where I crushed Grandma's pills because she couldn't swallow them. It's where I filled out her insurance forms. It's where she rang that bell at 3 in the morning because she was scared and couldn't say she was scared. Denise's face tightened. I know what happened in my mother's house. Do you? I called every day. You called at 7. She had her good voice ready by 7. That isn't my fault. I didn't say it was. You say everything like an accusation. Maybe because every time I tell you what happened, you explain why it shouldn't count. Denise folded her arms. I never said your help did not count. You called it rent. I said you lived here without paying rent. I paid the electric. I paid the plumber, the water heater, and half the property tax 1 year. I bought her groceries when she stopped telling you her check was short because she refused money from me. She refused once. You stopped offering. Denise's breath caught. Marcus placed the cash box on the table. Grandma kept receipts, he said. His mother did not look at it. I'm sure she did. She wrote notes on them. Marcus, this is between me and your sister. No, it isn't. He opened the box. You told me you paid for the water heater. I gave Mama money that year. This says Nia paid $640. Denise picked up the receipt. Her eyes moved across Ruth's handwriting. I sent $200 in March, she said. The water heater broke in November, Nia replied. I did what I could. So did I. You were here. The words filled the room. Nia nodded slowly. That's right. I was here. Denise set the receipt down. You keep saying that, like being here was the easy part, Nia continued. Like I got free lodging and everybody else had real responsibilities. You took 18 months of my life, called it a place to sleep, and used that story to make throwing me out sound reasonable. I did not take your life. You took the work. You took every check I wrote, every shift I traded, every night I stayed awake, and renamed all of it. Denise's eyes flooded. What do you want me to say? That I was a terrible daughter? I want you to stop making me a terrible granddaughter so you can feel better. No one moved. The refrigerator came on. The porch tarp snapped outside in the wind. On the table, Ruth's note lay in her slanted hand. Do not forget. Denise picked up the box of linens. I can't do this, she said. Nia felt something inside her harden, then deliberately refused to let it become cruelty. No, she said. You can. You don't want to. Her mother carried the linens down the hall. A bedroom door closed with controlled softness. Marcus dragged one hand over his beard. Alana placed the newspaper on the sewing cabinet. I'll get the socket set. We're taking it apart, Marcus asked. It won't fit through the front door unless we remove the legs. I know that. You were looking at it like you planned to negotiate with gravity. He went to the basement for tools. Nia sat in Ruth's old chair. It still wobbled if she leaned left. Her body remembered correcting for it before she did. Alana stood across from her. You okay? No, me either. That's fair. They waited in silence. Marcus returned with a red metal toolbox and knelt beneath the table. The first bolt resisted. He swore under his breath, changed wrenches, and tried again. Denise did not come back out. When the legs were removed, Marcus wrapped them in an old blanket. Alana taped the hardware inside a sandwich bag and wrote table on it, as if the 4 carved oak legs might otherwise become mysterious. The tabletop barely fit in Marcus's truck. At the grocery, Eli came downstairs when he heard them wrestling it through the door. I leave for 40 minutes, he said. Help, Marcus grunted. Together, they carried the tabletop up the narrow stairs. It scraped one wall and took the paint off the doorframe. Nia apologized to the wall. The table filled half the living room. It's too big, Marcus said. Leave. It's objectively too big. Nia centered it beneath the front window. From Ruth's chair, she could see the grocery sign reflected backward in the glass. It fits, she said. Alana set the 4 chairs around it. Only 3 matched. The 4th was the folding chair Nia had been using. Marcus reached into his jacket and removed the same white envelope he had offered her after the funeral. Nia recognized the bent corner. No. Listen first. I already said no. This isn't for a deposit. That does not change the contents. It's $800. Grandma's notes show you paid more than that in utilities alone. He put the envelope on the table. I accepted a house while believing you'd contributed almost nothing. I can't undo that. I can repay part of what I know. Nia looked at the envelope. I'm not giving you the house, he said. A tired laugh escaped her. Thank you for clarifying. I'm not pretending this makes it even. It's not charity either. Alana moved beside him, not behind him. Beside. We budgeted it together, she said. Nia touched the envelope but did not pick it up. The foundation? We'll handle the foundation, Marcus said. And the roof? We'll handle the roof. You may need this. We do need it. That answer mattered. Marcus pushed the envelope toward her. So do you. Nia accepted it, not graciously, not tearfully. She wrote, Utilities, partial repayment, across the front before putting it in the cash box. Marcus watched her do it. You really label everything now. Tasha's influence. Honey bun. Tasha has become powerful. She was always powerful. The honey buns disguised it. Alana laughed. Marcus looked relieved enough to laugh too. After they left, Eli remained by the window. You okay? He asked. Everybody keeps asking me that. You keep looking like the answer might change. Nia sat in Ruth's chair. My mother thinks Grandma chose me over her. Maybe she did sometimes. That's not comforting. Wasn't meant to be. Nia traced the burn mark on the tabletop. Grandma left everybody fighting over the places she loved. Ruth fought with those places while she was alive. She was consistent. She loved this store. She resented it too. She loved the house. She complained about the stairs for 20 years. Nia looked up at him. People can feel two things, Eli said. Your family treats that like a clerical error. He gathered his tool bag. At the bedroom doorway, he stopped. You should use some of that money for the apartment. I'm putting it toward the cooler. Of course you are. The store needs refrigeration. You need a ceiling. I have most of one. Fancy, she smiled. Eli left her alone with the table. Nia boiled water in Ruth's kettle and made tea. For the first time, she sat down to drink something in the apartment instead of carrying it between tasks. Below her, a car stopped at the corner. Someone tried the locked grocery door, read the hours, and walked away. Nia made a note to extend Thursday evening by 1 hour. Then she set the pen down. The table did not demand that she justify taking up space. It held the kettle, the tea, the cash box, and both of Nia's hands without asking which one she had earned. The $800 did not buy a cooler. It paid the overdue insurance installment, the apartment ceiling repair, 2 supplier orders, and 1 week in which Nia paid herself enough to stop using her hotel tips for groceries. She disliked how quickly repayment turned into ordinary expenses. Part of her wanted to preserve the envelope as proof Marcus had admitted something. Instead, she recorded every dollar and threw the empty envelope away. The store did not need proof. It needed toilet paper, canned tomatoes, coffee, and somebody to notice when the onions softened. Nia extended Thursday hours to 8. The first night, only 3 customers came after 7. The second week brought 9. By the fourth, a small, predictable rush formed between 6 and 7:30. Adults coming off shifts at the clinic, the laundry, downtown offices, and a machine shop near the river. Tasha increased her schedule to 12 hours. I did not ask you to, Nia said. You were about to. I was going to review cash flow. You were going to stand at the register while visibly calculating whether you deserved help. I don't do that. You do. Your left eye starts negotiating. Nia put her on payroll for 12 hours. The emergency tab held steady at 6 accounts. Gloria paid hers off, then asked to open it again for $20 the following month. You can, Nia said. You don't have to explain why. Gloria looked at the sign beside the register. Ask privately. We'll talk. You finally learned how to say that nicely, she said. I've been practicing. Keep at it. The prepared soup remained once a week. Customers continued complaining, which Nia chose to interpret as demand rather than criticism. She raised the price 50 cents and paid Mr. Alvarez for kitchen time before he could turn generosity into an argument. The front third of the store became crowded enough that Nia opened half of aisle 2. One dead cooler held paper products. The other displayed bags of pet food and a handwritten sign reading "Definitely not refrigerated." Mr. Avery suggested she put the receipt printer inside it. The printer, perhaps feeling threatened, improved. None of it happened fast enough to feel like success while Nia was doing it. Each week brought a bill, a repair, or a supplier price increase that consumed the gain from something else. But when she compared the third month's ledger with the first, current sales covered current costs. Tasha's wages, the store utilities, and a modest payment to Nia. She kept 2 hotel shifts. Carmen put her on Friday and Sunday evenings, then warned her that checking supplier prices from the front desk counted as personal business. Nia learned to keep a small notebook in her pocket and write questions without opening her phone. Sheila visited the store every Saturday and paid for 1 bottle of water no matter how often Nia told her water was available free in the office. "I support local business," Sheila said. "You take 6 bottles home from the hotel every week. That is corporate water." Nia gave up. The remaining vinyl above the storefront sagged lower with every storm. Eli removed it one Sunday morning while Nia held the ladder. As the green sheet came down, more of the old sign appeared. The paint was faded unevenly. Ruth's name remained strong at the left edge, protected by the awning. Nia's had weathered near the corner, where the brick took more rain. "The N is almost gone," she said. "I can see it. You outlined it. I remember. You made it too thin. You liked it thin. I was 19. I also liked silver eyeshadow. You wore blue. That was Tasha." "No." Tasha wore purple. Nia looked up. "You remember my eyeshadow?" Eli kept scraping adhesive. "I bought a shirt. They used the original colors, warm white letters with a faded blue shadow." Eli mixed the paint. Nia filled the larger sections while he repaired the outlines. People stopped to watch. Mrs. Pettigrew stood across the street and gave instructions no one had requested. Mr. Alvarez brought coffee that Nia poured into the gutter when he was not looking. "You saw that," Eli said from the ladder. It was either the gutter or a controlled disposal site. By late afternoon, Ruth Nia's corner grocery stood clean against the brick, not new, restored. Nia stepped into the street to see the whole thing. Eli came beside her, paint on one forearm and a white streak across his beard. "You missed a spot," she said. "Where?" She touched the streak near his chin. He turned his head slightly into her hand. The movement was so small that she could have pretended it did not happen. For 7 years, pretending had been one of Nia's strongest skills. She lowered her hand. "I don't know what I'm doing," she said. "With the sign?" "With you." Eli looked at the storefront. "You don't have to know before you say something. I'm learning that." Slowly. "Don't ruin it." He smiled. They kissed beneath the newly painted N, careful at first and then less careful when neither of them disappeared. Mrs. Pettigrew called from across the street. "That better not delay my coffee Thursday." Nia stepped back, laughing into Eli's jacket. The first person from her family to see the restored sign was Alana. She stood on the sidewalk after a green court delivery and took a photograph. "Marcus is going to be emotional," she said. "Marcus doesn't get emotional about lettering. He got emotional over a bathroom estimate." Nia looked at her more closely. "How bad is the house?" Alana put away her phone. "The roof is worse than the inspector thought. The foundation can be stabilized, but it's not cheap." "Can you afford it?" "We can afford one, not both." "What are you going to do?" "I don't know. Marcus has been taking overtime. Denise offered to refinance in her name, but that turns the gift into something we owe her every month." Nia leaned against the hand truck. "It was always something you owed her." Alana nodded. "We're figuring that out." Denise came into the grocery the following Tuesday. She had not visited since the 30th day. Nia saw her through the front window before the bell rang and felt her body prepare, as if for bad weather. Her mother paused beneath the restored sign. She looked up long enough that a passing man moved around her. When she entered, Tasha was building pantry boxes behind the counter. "Denise," Tasha said. Tasha. Neither had seen the other in years. Their greetings suggested the years had not improved every memory. Denise waited until Tasha carried the boxes to the stockroom. "The sign looks good," she said. "Thank you. You kept Mama's colors. They were my colors, too." Denise nodded once. She walked along the shelves, picking up a can of beans and returning it with the label facing forward. The gesture was so much like Ruth that Nia had to look away. "Marcus and Alana are having trouble with the house," Denise said. "I heard. The bank will refinance, but the rate is terrible." "What are you asking me?" Her mother sighed. "Can we speak without everything sounding hostile? We can speak clearly." Denise came closer to the counter. "The grocery building has equity." Nia's stomach tightened. "You want me to borrow against it?" "Not for me, for Marcus." "Does Marcus know you're here?" "He is too proud to ask." Then no. You haven't heard the amount. No, the roof cannot wait another winter. Then he needs a smaller loan, more time, or a different house. Denise's face sharpened. You would tell him to sell Grandma's house? You told me to sell Grandma's store because it was failing, it was neglected, and the house is damaged. Then why is one legacy sacred and the other disposable? Denise placed both palms on the counter. That house held this family together. It put me out 3 days after the funeral. You keep coming back to that. I keep coming back because you haven't. For a moment, neither spoke. Tasha moved quietly in the stockroom, giving them privacy without leaving Naya alone. Denise lowered her voice. You have income now. The store has income. It also has debt and 2 dead coolers. Family helps family. I helped. You called it rent. Her mother looked toward the emergency tab sign, then at the shelves Nia had reopened. So this is revenge, she said. No. Revenge would be borrowing against the store and letting it fail so all of us lose something. Denise recoiled. Naya's voice softened. I'm not risking this place to protect a house you gave away without counting what it cost me. I can love Marcus and still say no. Your grandmother would have helped. My grandmother helped until she owed everybody. Denise turned toward the door. Ma. She stopped, her back to Naya. I'm not asking you to agree, Naya said. But you may not come in here and call this family only when you need something from it. Denise left without answering. Marcus arrived after closing, furious. Not at Nia. She had no right to ask you, he said. She thought she was helping. She told me she was going to discuss insurance. Maybe she considers collateral a type of insurance. He paced the front aisle, avoiding the yellow cord. We're not taking money from the store. I already said no. I know. Alana made me come say it anyway. Alana is wise. She's furious too. What are you going to do about the house? Marcus stopped beneath the fluorescent lights. Maybe sell. The answer surprised Naya. He looked toward the ceiling. I wanted it because it felt like winning. Then the roof leaked, the foundation shifted, and every decision came with Ma explaining what Grandma would have wanted. He rubbed his forehead. I don't know if keeping it is honoring her or just being afraid to look ungrateful. Nia leaned against the register. I don't know either. You're supposed to enjoy this. I enjoyed the part where you said the roof leaked. He laughed reluctantly. If you sell, she said, sell because you and Alana choose to. Not because Ma made the house impossible to live in. He nodded. At the door, he looked up at the restored sign. You doing anything for the store anniversary? Nia had found the date in Ruth's oldest ledger, October 12th, 38 years since the first sale. Soup supper, she said. Nothing big. Family invited. The question sat between them. Nia looked at Ruth's name beside her own. Everybody's invited, she said. Nobody gets to claim it. Preparations filled the next week. Tasha organized folding tables. Mr. Alvarez loaned stock pots. Sheila volunteered to serve soup, then rejected every apron Nia offered. Eli hung lights beneath the awning. Nia mailed Denise an invitation instead of calling. On the evening of October 12th, the store glowed against the early dark. Tables ran down the open aisles. Ruth's kitchen table stood near the front window, brought downstairs for the supper, its burn mark uncovered. People began arriving before 6. Marcus and Alana came together. Camille brought pound cake. Mrs. Pettigrew complained that the chairs were too low and then refused to change seats. At 6:15, Denise's sedan pulled up across the street. She remained inside. Nia stood behind the register with Ruth's old soup ladle in one hand and watched her mother look at the restored sign. Denise turned off the engine. For another moment, she did not move. Cars passed between her and the grocery, briefly cutting her face from view. Then she opened the door, stepped into the street, and waited for traffic. Nia set the ladle beside the register. You okay? Tasha asked. I'm considering banning that question. You're holding a ladle like a weapon. Nia loosened her grip. The bell jingled when Denise entered. Conversation did not stop, but it changed shape. Camille called her name too brightly. Marcus stood halfway, uncertain whether to cross the room. Alana touched his wrist and kept him seated. Denise looked at the tables, the crowded shelves, and the 2 dark coolers repurposed for dry goods. She saw the emergency tab notice beside the register and the anniversary date painted on the front window. Then she saw Ruth's table. Her gaze stayed on the burn mark. You brought it downstairs, she said, just for tonight. Denise nodded. It looks smaller here. It isn't. That almost became an argument. Nia saw both of them recognize the entrance. She picked up a bowl and filled it with soup. "You can sit," she said. "Where?" "There's a chair beside Camille." Camille raised one hand and immediately pretended she had been adjusting her hair. Denise accepted the bowl. "Did you make this?" "Mr. Alvarez let me use his kitchen. I asked if you made it." "Yes." Her mother tasted it while standing at the counter. She held the spoon in her mouth for 1 second longer than necessary. "Not enough cumin," she said. Nia stared at her. Denise's face shifted. Then Nia laughed. It escaped before pride could prevent it, loud enough that Tasha looked over from the soup station. Denise tried not to smile and failed. "There is more cumin than anybody thinks," Nia said. "Mama always added some at the end. The recipe did not say that. Mama did not write everything down. Apparently that was her philosophy." Denise carried the bowl to Camille's table. Nia went back to serving. The supper was supposed to last 2 hours. It became 4. People came in waves, some eating at the tables and others carrying soup home. Mr. Alvarez criticized the bread, though he had supplied it. Sheila served until she decided everyone was moving too slowly and took control of the register instead. Eli tightened a loose table leg, repaired one string of lights, and somehow got assigned to wash stock pots. Mrs. Pettigrew told anyone who would listen that she had made the first purchase after the reopening. The receipt was crooked, she said, but history is rarely neat. Gloria paid $5 on her tab, then bought pound cake from Camille in cash. "I thought this was a free supper," Nia said. "It was until your aunt discovered fundraising." Camille had placed a jar beside the cake and labeled it Cooler Fund. Nia moved it away twice. Camille moved it back 3 times. "You cannot surprise people into donating to my equipment," Nia told her. "I wrote what it's for. That doesn't make it less surprising. It makes it transparent." Nia gave up after Mr. Avery put in $4 and asked whether that purchased him naming rights. By 7:30, every chair was occupied. Marcus leaned against a shelf with his bowl. Alana sat at Ruth's table beside Denise, who had begun telling Mrs. Pettigrew that the soup needed black pepper. Nia stood near the register and watched her mother behave as if entering the store had not required 15 minutes in a parked car. Part of her wanted an acknowledgement larger than this. An apology delivered clearly in front of the people who had heard Denise call the store a mistake. Another part understood that public remorse could become one more performance arranged around Ruth. Tasha tapped a spoon against a glass. The room quieted by degrees. "Nia's supposed to say something," Tasha announced. "I did not agree to that. You wrote it on my schedule. I wrote anniversary remarks. That means speaking. I thought you were doing it. I just did." People turned toward Nia. She wiped both hands on her apron and stepped behind Ruth's table. The oldest ledger lay there, open to the page recording the store's first day. Ruth's writing had been larger then, less cramped by years of squeezing numbers into margins. Nia had prepared remarks. They were upstairs on a legal pad. "I found this date because Grandma kept every piece of paper she ever touched," she began, including invoices she had no intention of paying on time. Walter Brandt had not attended, but several people laughed on his behalf. "She opened this store 38 years ago with 2 coolers, 4 aisles, and a credit policy based mostly on whether she liked your mother." More laughter. Nia looked at Denise. Her mother held the soup bowl in both hands. "I left because I thought Grandma and I disagreed about everything," Nia continued. "I wanted systems. She wanted relationships. I wanted every number to make sense. She thought making sense was something numbers could do on their own time." Tasha murmured, "Accurate. When I came back, the store had relationships it couldn't afford, and bills its relationships couldn't pay. It needed both." Nia rested one hand on the ledger. "Mr. Alvarez came back before I had groceries. Mrs. Pettigrew came back before I had a working receipt printer. Tasha taught me that help still belongs on payroll. Eli kept the building from catching fire. Sheila gave me a cot and complained until I slept, and Marcus repaired a hand truck that pulls left." "It does not pull left," Marcus said. "It does. You pull left." People laughed again. Nia glanced toward Alana, Camille, Gloria, and the Green Court customers crowded near the second aisle. "Grandma kept this door open a long time. Keeping it open now doesn't mean doing everything the way she did. It means keeping what worked, changing what hurt people, and paying attention when the cooler stops humming." A few people clapped. Nia shook her head. "I'm not finished. This is the only speech you're getting. The room's settled. The store is current on its bills. It pays its employees. It is not rich, and neither am I. Please do not ask for discounts based on this announcement." Tasha began applauding first. The sound grew until Nia's face warmed. She turned toward the soup pot so no one could study her too closely. When she looked back, Denise was crying, not dramatically. She had lowered her face and was pressing one finger beneath each eye, angry at the evidence. Nia did not go to her. She let her mother have the feeling without rescuing her from it. Later, after the tables had emptied and the last stock pot was soaking, Denise remained in Ruth's chair. Marcus and Alana were folding tables near the front. Eli carried trash to the alley. Tasha had gone home after informing Nia that unpaid anniversary overtime would result in a revolt. Denise traced the burn mark in the oak. "She bought that skillet the same week she opened the store," she said. "I have it upstairs." "I know." Nia sat across from her. For a while, they listened to Marcus struggle with a folding table that had trapped one of his fingers. "I shouldn't have asked you to risk the grocery for the house," Denise said. "No, I thought if the house needed help, then helping it was what family did. It depends which family member owns the problem." Denise accepted that. "And you shouldn't have called my caregiving free lodging," Nia said. Her mother looked down. "No," she said, "I shouldn't have." The apology was small. Nia almost distrusted it because it did not explain itself. Denise folded her hands. "When Mama got sick, I kept thinking she would finally come to Columbus. I had a room ready. She said the store needed her, the house was hers, and you were there." She swallowed. "I let that become an excuse." "For what?" "For not coming more. For believing you had volunteered for everything because you were already doing it." She looked up. "And when Mama left me the house, I wanted it to mean she had chosen me after all." Nia's anger did not disappear. It rearranged itself around the truth. "You chose Marcus," she said. "I thought giving it to him would prove I wasn't like Mama, that I could let go of property and help my family at the same time. You helped the family member who already had somewhere to sleep." "I know. Do you?" Denise nodded. The store lights hummed above them. Outside, the restored lettering reflected in the dark window behind her. "I don't know how to fix what I did," Denise said. "You don't fix it by asking me to pretend it didn't happen. I'm not asking that. You may visit. You may eat soup. You may even criticize the cumin once per month." Despite herself, Denise smiled. "But you don't speak for Marcus here. You don't claim the store because Grandma was your mother. You don't ask me to mortgage it for the house. And you don't rewrite the last 18 months. The smile left Denise's face, but she kept listening. "If you can do that," Nia said, "there's a chair." Her mother looked at Ruth's chair beneath her. "This one? Not permanently. Don't get comfortable." Denise laughed through what remained of her tears. Marcus approached, holding the defeated folding table. "Alana says we're listing the house," he said. Denise straightened. "You decided tonight?" "We decided last week." "And you didn't tell me?" "We're telling you now. That house has been in this family, Ma," Marcus said. One word: quiet, tired, adult. Denise looked from him to Alana, who stood beside the register. "We can't afford to repair it without building our whole life around the repairs," Marcus continued. "We don't want that. You could refinance. We don't want that either." Denise's mouth tightened. Nia could see every argument gathering and fighting for position. Finally, she said, "Where will you go?" "We found a townhouse to rent near Alana's work. Renting again. For now." Denise looked toward Nia as though expecting alliance. Nia shook her head. His house. His decision. The words were not revenge. They did, however, fit beautifully. Marcus smiled. The bungalow sold 3 months later for less than Denise had imagined, and enough for Marcus and Alana to pay the remaining loan, cover repairs already made, and start again without debt hanging from the roof. Denise mourned the sale like another death. Nia went with her to the final walkthrough, but did not ask for a key. Her old room looked smaller, empty. In the dining room, the pale grooves from Ruth's medical bed remained in the rug. Denise stood beside them and said, "You really slept upstairs all that time?" "Except the nights she rang twice. Then I slept in that chair." Denise nodded. She did not call it rent. At the grocery, winter brought higher heating bills and slower produce sales. One cooler still worked when it felt cooperative. The other two remained dark, holding paper goods and pet food. Nia continued working 2 hotel shifts because viability was not the same as ease. The apartment cabinets remained mismatched. Ruth's table still consumed half the living room. Eli's darker bedroom door stuck whenever the weather turned damp, and he insisted this was the frame's fault. Tasha's 12 hours became 18. Green court orders grew, then leveled. The emergency tab balanced most weeks and frightened Nia on the others. Soup remained Wednesdays only. Denise began visiting on Thursday evenings. She paid for everything, even when Nia told her the coffee was free. Some weeks they talked. Some weeks Denise faced labels on the shelves while Nia completed orders, and that was enough. Near closing one night, Nia stepped outside to bring in the cardboard produce basket. The street was damp from a brief rain. Above her, the painted sign shone beneath the awning. Ruth Nia's Corner Grocery. Her name was no longer something hidden beneath another version of the store. It stood beside Ruth's without disappearing into it. Inside, Tasha called that Mr. Avery was trying to negotiate the price of an onion. Eli was upstairs making the bedroom door worse in an organized way. Denise sat at the old table sorting order sheets, waiting to be told if she had done them wrong. Nia carried the basket in and turned the sign from open to closed. Then she unlocked the door again for Gloria, who was hurrying across the street after a late shift. The store was hers now. She knew when to close it. She also knew when to keep the door open.